Allow me to introduce myself. Who knows what dastardly crime might perpetrate next?
He's a very clever arch criminal who must be put away. Another innocent victim
I
of
don't know.
genocidal maniac.
What you want? I don't know. Allow me to introduce myself. Who knows what dastardly crime might perpetrate next?
He's a very clever arch criminal who must be put away. Another innocent victim
I
of
don't know.
genocidal maniac.
What you want? I don't know. What you want? I don't know. Allow me to introduce myself. Who knows what dastardly crime might perpetrate next?
He's a very clever arch criminal who must be put away. Another innocent victim
I
of
don't know.
genocidal maniac.
What you want? I don't know. 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 Allow me to introduce myself. Who knows what dastardly crime might perpetrate next?
He's a very clever arch criminal who must be put away. Another innocent victim
I
of
don't know.
genocidal maniac.
What you want?
Peace and love. Hold on. Let me disconnect this right here. Press the number 1 if you could hear me in the chat. Press the number 1. Press the number 1. Press the number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. If you could hear me clearly. Shout out to Elise in the building. Peace and love, Queen. Let me give you a mod badge immediately without hesitation. Shout out to Sister Lisa right here, man. Always showing me love. No matter what on the clubhouse scene. All right. All right. So we have a problem this morning, right? The problem is we have different people going back and forth for whatever reason. And I wanted to get to the Tariq stuff with Captain Tazaryach. This is not, let me just say this on the onset, not taking Captain's side because I know him more. I'm closer to him than Tariq, but I think this is not good for Tariq. And this is why he never said Captain's name in the original video. So I want y'all to pay attention to this clip right here by the brother, what's his name? Forgot his name. But anyway, check this out.
On X versus the other platforms. He is on Instagram and he is on YouTube, but the majority of his content is on X, and he uses pretty often Twitter Spaces where people can join in and they have conversations, and he does a lot of his content over there. And what happens is he either uploads the entire Twitter space or clips part of the Twitter space and then reposts it back onto YouTube. And that's what you really see on the majority of his content on YouTube. I think, once a week he goes live on YouTube, but mostly you see it there. Now, of course, on his Twitter spaces, you will see a lot of trolls. Okay, there's a lot of trolls that come on. He doesn't know them, but there's one that comes on by the name of T.S. Giselle, who is a transgender. And T.S. Giselle is just a troll. I don't know if that's a real individual or not, but comes on, and Tariq Nasheed typically will have the person on for like a few seconds or a minute or whatever. Then he just boosts the person off the platform, and that's pretty much what it is, right? But then there is a controversy surrounding T.S. Giselle, as you know, which is probably a transgender person. And so this is what's happened.
Speaking of that, with that T.S. Giselle, there was and you got to watch these ops. You got to watch these ops. This is one of these Hebrew Israelites. He tried to use T.S. Giselle to start a failed rumor. Did y'all? And some of y'all didn't even see this stupid shit. This dude running around talking about T.S. Giselle is the first lady of FBA. And I really started looking at this dude because I met this cat. And when he started trying to run with that bullshit, I'm like, dude, are you an op? Dude, are you a damn fed even? Are you a fed even running with some shit like that? You know what I'm saying? When you engage in bad faith shit like that, that's fed talk. Yeah, this dude, T.S. Giselle is a damn trans troll. There's a bunch of them. So T.S. goes in these, this say anything. Nobody takes this person seriously. And then T.S. Giselle running around talking about they're the first lady of FBA. All right, that's just some troll. And this dude texts me. You're like, hey, man. Hey.
Now, the picture that you see on the screen is the PTR for Tariq's video. Now, O'Shea is a funny dude. Why would he post this specific picture of Tariq? This picture kind of look kind of zesty. It's like a off peach type of color with looking like a pink. He has Tariq looking kind of suspect in this particular picture. So O'Shea Jackson is good at what he does, but Tariq is a genius when it comes to trolling. My fear for Captain Tazaryach is that he would troll Captain to the point where he would destroy ISUPK. Because all he got to do is call me. I give him all the info. It's a wrap. Because you don't want, they say every form of publicity is good. But sometimes bad publicity will have people who are members of your organization have you looking sideways. So say, for example, Tariq said, hey, I'm going to put the video out with a 2,000-year prophecy. So showing that you're a false movement. You guys promote false prophecies and all these weirdos. So Tariq is a troll of trolls. And remember this, though. And I don't think a lot of people pay attention to what Tazaryach does on a daily basis. Tazaryach is in a world that's not Israelite world. It's a world that do whatever. Because Giselle, although I'm anti her lifestyle, it's not illegal. You're in America. And I think a lot of people are using Captain as a barometer of upright living and judging the world that's not upright. And I think we make that mistake. So if, say, for example, Tazaryach could have a debate with anybody, I wouldn't debate him on this topic. Say, does she have the right to be a transgender? He can't use the Bible to make a conclusion because it's in his world. It's a devilish behavior. But in the regular world in America, it's okay to be a transgender. So now it puts Tariq in a position because Tariq is for FBA. And if you attach Giselle to him, it kind of makes him look bad too. As is this a homosexual movement like Black Lives Matter? Because remember, all these homosexual people were attached to Black Lives Matter. So now it puts him in a whole different basket. People already don't like FBA because of him, but they know about FBA or that term because of him. So you put them in a catch-22 position. So now if by Tazaryach making this public, it kind of, to me, hurts Tariq more. Although Tariq could troll the shit out of him because, Tariq followers are like a cult too. It's not just cults are not just in religious groups. People are very cultish, Egyptomaniacs, the Abos, the Rastafarians. People are very cultish when it comes to something that they stand on. ADOS. But let's get back to this.
Man, I heard that this transgender is the third lady of FBA. What that about? I'm looking at the phone. Like, why would you ask me some stupid shit like that? Why would you ask me some shit like I'm looking at this dude funny for even asking me that? Why would you ask me something so damn obviously stupid and trollish, dude? Why would you even ask me that? And I saw what it was. I'm like, okay, what this dude is doing, he's trying to frame a public narrative. He's trying to text me so he can run whatever response I give, he's going to run publicly with it. I already saw it. And sure enough, he did. Because I'm like, I don't even dignify no stupid shit like that with no real response, bro. I don't even know why you asking me that.
Woo! Tariq Nasheed is discussing a situation with a Hebrew Israelite who is, questioning him about this troll that is coming on to his Twitter space. And I happen to find out exactly who this person was.
Hey, man, I'm going to be real brief, man, and maybe I'll put the video up. Tariq Nasheed is apparently subliminally talking about me because he's too vaginal to say my name directly. So I'm the person that he's trying to call COINTELPRO XYZ because I text and asked him if a man pretending to be a woman that's calling himself the queen of the FBA was something that they represented. And then he gets mad at me for asking him. And I'm only asking him because he's the quote unquote head, especially on Twitter Spaces. So I figure I go to the source because we had a relationship. And then instead of him respecting it, he calls me agent, talks about me subliminally. That don't really matter. What's diabolical, though, is that straight men who's supposed to be about foundational black people would allow a gay man to represent himself as the queen of your so-called movement. What's worse, asking if it's true or letting some gay man troll you to being that?
Woo! This individual is Captain Tazaryach, also affectionately known from what I hear as Cap. I saw him first, on the Sonnetter TV, basically debating. He is a member of the ISUPK with General Yahanna. That is the commanding leader there. So he's from the East Coast, strong brother. A lot of people know Brother Tazaryach, especially if you're in the pro-black, organic, conscious community. Almost everybody would know who this man is online. He's very known. Don't let the numbers fool you because a lot of people have seen him around. And so Tariq Nasheed has met this brother before, so that's how he has his number. Tariq Nasheed is wondering, why are you talking to me about this particular person? And then Captain Tazaryach has said it, right? But then also Captain Tazaryach releases this proof.
He, whatever it is, video he get, but
It's she. Yes, and
ma'am.
let's be very clear. In the hierarchy of FBA, I'm second in command. There's Tariq Nasheed at the top, and then it's me, T.S. Giselle.
Can I ask you a question, ma'am?
The first lady of FBA.
Now we have this particular person, T.S. Giselle. She's talking to Charleston White, and basically she's introducing herself as the first lady of FBA. Now, Tariq Nasheed would respond to Captain Tazaryach.
Yeah, it's a Fed tactic. So we got to watch these people. It's just a Hebrew Israelite. It's Fed shit. When somebody tries to hit you up with some loaded question, like, is it true that they troll at the first lady of FBA? You asking a question that's designed to embed a lie in the question itself. So whether you say yes or no or whatever, no, clearly it's some troll shit. But yeah.
Let me say this. In Captain Defense, he might not have been familiar with who T.S. Giselle is, just like how I was not familiar with who T.S. Giselle is, because if you look at Moorish World TV and you look at Haven Bullets, I think, if I remember correctly, they did put out about T.S. Giselle and all that stuff. I think if Tariq's response was like, it's a troll, Cap should have left it right there, because that space is a whole different space than the Israelite space. So now, I don't think Tariq, if he responds, he's going to go full troll mode, and you don't want that. You don't want that. But Captain, remember, you're speaking as an Israelite to a non-Israelite community. So it's like you whatever you hold to is a Israelite position, but remember, you're living in the world. The world don't believe what you believe. So it's like a catch-22 position for both of them, because what Tariq should have did is like, yo, this person is a troll. You know, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna hit you up later. I explain it to you. It shouldn't take 5. Tariq shouldn't have took offense to it, because remember, Captain is not in his world to know that the person is a troll. So if somebody's coming on and say, yo, I'm the first lady FBA, he's taking the person as at their word. He don't know who T.S. Giselle is. You know what I'm saying? So Captain is not wrong for asking, but Tariq should have been more forthcoming with the position. Although, let me hear what he actually said before I make that ultimate position.
You walk away with the lie repeated, and you're just trying to set up a basis to spread the lie, which failed. You know what I'm saying? Because now it's like, man, do you think people are dumb? Yeah, you have no respect for the public to even run with some shit like that.
Now, Tariq Nasheed did not mention his name, but we already know that he's talking about Captain Tazaryach. And so what he's saying is like, hey, got an issue with, the Hebrew Israelite guy. And the name of this video is called Conscious Costume COINTELPRO. And if you look at the thumbnail, you basically see that there was a person dressed up as a Hebrew Israelite, which would infer that this is ISUPK or ISUPK member or a Hebrew Israelite member, which you have seen Captain Tazaryach dress up, in this particular fashion before. At least I've seen him dressed up in something like this, at least on interviews. And so what he's saying is that the way that Captain Tazaryach is messaging him about this transgender, number one, not only is it petty, but it seems like it's so small that this is something that he shouldn't even be talking to me about. Like, I can't control this transgender, but Captain Tazaryach would respond with this.
A gay man could never troll the Israelite movement, and we accept it, and we think it's funny, and we think it's cute. We would never do that. But the FBA apparently will let a gay man or a trans man troll them.
So this is the main motivation, at least what I hear from Captain Tazaryach. And again, I have interviewed him before. We don't agree on everything. Again, I don't have any problem with Captain Tazaryach. I like certain Hebrew Israelites. I kind of have a little bit of issue about the ones that are coming back to Africa that do some of the scamming. Woo! And this is not to say that all Hebrew Israelites that come back to Africa scam, but that's who I've had an issue with. So, but ISUPK, I've never really had no issue with them. And he seems like he's a stand-up brother. But he's saying right now, because the Hebrew Israelite community would never have or never allow a transgender to troll our community. What I believe that he's saying is because T.S. Giselle comes onto the stream, there's a little bit of a roast session between T.S. Giselle and Tariq Nasheed. Tariq Nasheed is, no doubt, probably the best online content creator, comedian, in the space. So Tariq Nasheed does entertain people. So he will roast people. I mean, he'll roast anybody. Transgenders comes in, he'll roast them up. Whites, Africans. So this is not unlike Tariq to kind of engage in some little back and forth there before he boots you off. So what Captain Tazaryach is saying that, I wanted to make this between me and you, but it was different. What I think happened is this. Tazaryach messaged Tariq. I'm unclear after the message who came out and talked about it first. Because Tariq said that he's already talking about it, and I believe that's the clip. Okay. But Tazaryach says that Tariq was already calling them COINTELPRO. So I don't know. What I'm saying is that one, I don't know who's wrong with that. But to me, it seems that if a transgender is trolling Tariq or trolling people, it's not like Tariq Nasheed can do anything about that. I mean, it's people who make up fake accounts of me. I've had folks make up a fake accounts of who my girlfriend was. I mean, just today, I saw somebody having an AI version of me in a wedding, or somebody who looked like me. You see it right there. I thought it was funny. You can't stop somebody trolling you. But then I do hear Captain Tazaryach say, because as Israelites, we won't allow that. It seems like Captain Tazaryach, who I think is a smart guy, because when you hear him debate, he's intelligent. But it seems that he has kicked this off because he says it clearly, because as Israelites. So it seems like what Tazaryach is trying to do is challenge Tariq Nasheed's credibility in hashtag FBA, and to say, how can you be X, Y, and Z when you're allowing a transgender to represent you, because we would not allow that. Woo! And I'm trying to see how and where he would have a point. I can't see the real reason why he would go public with this, outside of the fact that he's trying to represent the fact that Israelites are above Tariq Nasheed because we don't allow this and you do. So it seems like it's, I don't know if it's for personal gain, but I have no idea why Captain Tazaryach would actually, number one, message him over a troll, and then number two, go public with it. And it seems like he's actually started this. I just don't see it. I mean, it's a troll. You know, it's a troll that's a fake person. I've never seen anybody acknowledge TSJL or any of the other trolls that come on there. You have white supremacist trolls. You have everybody as trolling. He's on Twitter Space. Anybody can come in. Again, I just do not see this outside of the fact that he would like people to see that his sect of Hebrew Israelites are on a higher, bigger moral compass than what Tariq Nasheed is doing. I don't want to say that he's doing it because he's jealous of Tariq Nasheed. I don't know if that's the case. I don't think that could be the case. I'm not sure. Maybe he's really bothered. But I do think that this is something that I feel like was not worth him bringing to the public. That's what I would say. I feel like it wasn't worth it. So, and I like Captain Tazaryach. Again, you know, I don't have any issue with him. But for Cap to bring this out, I just don't. I mean, we all have a bad day. That's all I would say. I would say, you know, this is, maybe he thought it was real. Maybe he was concerned. And maybe Tariq Nasheed could have responded to him to say, no, that's a troll. And that would have been that. So that could be a point. But Tariq Nasheed felt that it wasn't worth responding to. And that's probably where it escalated. But again, I would never do what Captain Tazaryach did to anybody, because I just wouldn't take that seriously. But what do you guys think? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Drunk.
Hey, as far as trolling, there's these people that was trying to troll Cap with a picture that he took. And I'm going to show y'all the picture right now. And we don't take these people seriously. Right here. Look at this picture right here. I'm going to show y'all this picture right now real quick. Apparently, this guy, allegedly, people wanted me to put this out to say that there's gay people a part of ISUPK. This guy right here in this picture is gay. Apparently. Hold on a second. Hold on 1 second. Hold on, let me get the right picture. Hold on, let me get the picture right. My bad. Hold on 1 second, family. So they're saying that this picture is a gay guy. They was trolling Captain Tazaryach with this picture. And I'm like saying to myself, like, How does this prove that Captain supports gay people? Because the guy is gay. So now somebody could have taken this picture and say, hey, Captain is gay or he supports gay or whatever. Nobody's trolling. Yeah, they're trolling. They troll every group. I don't think Captain is right. They troll every group. They troll the Nation of Islam. They troll this. But I think what Captain was saying is that he wanted Tariq to come out. But Tariq is saying if he addresses the troll outside of the Twitter space, you're giving that troll a face and image in public. So that's what what you call it was talking about. But yeah, let me show you these pictures right here real quick. Y'all gonna laugh. And these are troll pictures. Captain don't know if the person is gay or not. He don't know that. He don't know that. But people wanted to push this about Cap. But it's a lie. That's one of the pictures. The guy apparently he's gay. Here's another picture with the guy, the same guy. This is him with a guy. And then there's another picture with another Israelite with him. And then there's another picture right here. I think that was it or whatever. But my whole thing is, but they were sending me the picture like, yo, why you man hanging out with gay people? I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, man, this gay guy he's hanging out with. I'm like, huh? This was back in 2023. Then there's another group. Let me show you. Let me show you another post that dude made. As a matter of fact, a dude came on my live stream and showed me this guy who's supposedly hold on there 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second here. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I find the post. I didn't even look up for it. But yeah, there's a guy that came out that he was a part of a camp. I don't know what camp it was, and that he's battling with homo. We got to be careful because there's so many trolls out here that people do things. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, let me leave that alone. Yeah, he hit the panel and was cursing me out. So I mean, when it comes to that stuff, it's crazy. But listen to Captain explain the whole scenario. And whether he should have been live or not, that's up to you to decide. But I think Cap is just standing on his square of what he believes, though. Check this out.
Got a poll of black men and black women voting for a nigga over women. I couldn't understand it, so I had a room about it because I don't understand it to this day because the man still has he's the queen of FBA on his photo on his Twitter right now, and so. Because I had a relationship, when I say relationship, we had one sit down together, so I don't want to make it seem like a relationship.
I understood it.
But we did do a live stream together. So I just asked him, was this real? Because let's say in my community, Israelite community, if some transgender niggas start saying he's the queen or the lead woman or some shit like that, we gonna shut that down. That's whether that nigga is trolling or not is irrelevant. Our position would be clear. We don't condone that. We would condemn it. So I really thought that's what he was gonna tell me. I thought he was gonna say it's a troll. We don't support it. We condemn it or something like that. But he ain't done it. And so that was it for me. And then back then he was talking subliminally about me, talking about he was out to dinner and some nigga texted him asking this stupid shit or whatever. And so that was it. And so somebody sent me a video from like 2 or 3 days ago. He had some video where he talking about me, and the picture is like I guess supposed to be a funny picture of me, and I'm a COINTELPRO or Fed Talk, because I'm trying to see why would you let a man be a woman in the FBA movement. So I just responded to it. I'm direct. I don't do the subliminal shit. I think that shit gay. If you're gonna talk about me, say my name, because I'm gonna say yours. So I just wanted to remind everybody, and I was specific. I wasn't talking about every FBA, because I know FBA brothers and sisters that are not necessarily on the apps. I'm not talking about FBA, but on Twitter, Them FBA niggas is diabolical because I had a nigga comment on my shit talk about don't talk about the queen like that. And there was a nigga saying don't talk about the queen like that.
Listen, as a self-identified FBA, listen, how the first lady shit started really, you know, there's a Pan-African side of that that really don't agree with the FBA ideology, right? They're like flat blackness, all, you know, if you're melanated, you black, right? African ancestry. So in turn, they started this poll, right? They kind of stole their little stilo and they started this poll and they just made that, and they chose the I guess the people in the poll. They took the poll, ran with it, you know. A good portion of them, whether they be Haitian, you know, little Africans, Jamaicans, they went with it. They made a like a cover, what you call that, magazine cover type shit that they posted on here, and they went with that narrative. And so that's how that first lady, queen of FBA mantra started. And I think that's what he went by, a troll. It literally was just a troll. But I understand the other interaction of not having that conversation and explaining it, right? Just brushing it off and saying, hey, you're a fed because of that. So I get it.
Yeah, I mean, so if I'm a fed for being confused about letting a man represent women, I mean, what's a fed then? What's an op?
So let's be very clear.
Hold on.
No.
He had a question.
It's not your name.
I want to answer it.
It's not your name being drugged through the mud. Now, this man has been talking about me on multiple platforms. I have every right to speak up and defend myself. Now, I'm going to let him finish, but I want to be very clear, Mr. Tazaryach. My pronouns are she, her. So if you're going to address the queen, you address me correctly and appropriately.
Well,
now, if you want to call me
can I just call you G? Would that be because that's the first initial? That's the first initial of your name. Can I just call you G? I'm not disrespecting you. When people can't pronounce my name, Tazaryach, I'd say, hey, just call me T.
Listen.
So I think that's it. I'm not calling you. I'm not calling you that.
Listen,
I'm not calling you. I don't play fucking make believe. I don't play make believe. So to not disrespect your name, I mean, disrespect what you want to be called, I'll just say G, which is the first letter of your name.
And that's fair.
Okay, no problem. That's good. That's good.
Because guess
but you
what?
said I could finish though.
Listen.
I won't be even that long. I won't
Hold on.
Yeah, let him finish.
I won't be that long. I'll probably be like 10, 15 seconds. I'll be like 10, 15 seconds.
This man has been dragging my name through the mud.
I wouldn't necessarily say. I wouldn't. No, that's not true. That's why I won't even be that long. I won't even be that. Was I muted or something?
I don't believe in make believe.
Hey, just let me finish real fast. Wait. I'll be done in like 10, 15 seconds.
Thank you. Let him finish.
G. No. G. I'll be done in 10. You just said I'm gonna let him finish, which was me. So I'll be 10.
I don't believe in make believe either, Tazaryach. So if I am a man, then you're not an Israelite. Clock it. You want to get nasty? We can get nasty.
Well, you actually said it reverse. You should be saying if I'm not a woman.
Now.
Because you said if I'm not a man. I'm calling you a man.
If I'm not a woman.
There you go. I got to teach you how to so-called disrespect me. Because that's how retarded you are. You are so mentally fucked up, you couldn't even know how to correct me. That's why you just said if I'm not a man, you're not an Israelite. When I'm calling you a man. Like if you're gonna step in this battle, at least
YouTube?
No, I'm not.
YouTube show as well.
No, I'm not. But if you ever wanted to come,
want to hear from the queen also.
Can he get a word out?
Thank you. I just want to finish, and I'll give you the floor. So
okay,
I have not talked about this.
Listen, he said he would agree to call you G to get around that from misgendering. We missed past that.
We can both play that.
We're not going to sit here and belabor that point. Be quiet, let him finish, and then you'll be able to speak. Chill out.
So I have not talked about this since January. The only reason I talked about it now is because I was sent videos where Tariq has a picture of me saying I was COINTELPRO or Fed Talk because I spoke about something back in January. So that's why I'm speaking about it. So you're really catching it straight this time, G. You're not really the subject. I was just saying that how am I COINTELPRO when all I'm asking is, was it legit that y'all let a transgender woman, a man that identifies as a woman?
Because you've been
Or I don't know why you. I don't know why you got to
to
interrupt. I'm not going to interrupt you when you talk.
But you've been saying
But I'm not going to interrupt. I'm not going to interrupt you when you talk. Like, you got to control yourself. The man in you should be able to control yourself.
No, you need to control yourself.
Hey,
But the man in you, I mean, let that sizzle in your spirit. You still got a man mentality. That's why you act aggressive, because you a man.
There's nothing aggressive about me.
Then shut your mouth. If there's nothing aggressive about you, then shut your mouth. Then at least be trans submissive. Can you be trans submissive? Hey, Rhea, you think she could be trans submissive? She can't even be trans submissive. At least be trans. Can you be trans submissive at least? Can you be trans submissive? Let me finish. I could have been done. I could have been.
So you need to take a step back. Now, T, let me be very clear. Since you're going to call me G, I'm going to call you T. Don't get it twisted. I am divine femininity, and don't you get it twisted, sir. Now, I'll go back on my mute. You want to get nasty? That's what we can do. I'm not intimidated by you or anybody in your cult. You want to speak truth? Let's speak about a cult.
Go back
because
on. Now he left.
Because between FBA.
That was the point I was trying to make, and I told you that.
Well, he's still here.
No, he dropped down. You gotta chill out. God damn, nobody want to argue with you and like want to have to compete to fight with you on the mic. God damn. Y'all got to know how to like, it's a little give and take.
He did not leave. He probably lost audio. This is not my first conversation with this man, and it's not going to be the last. Please.
Listen, you need to have some fucking decorum.
I had walked too far from my Wi-Fi, and so I had to leave. I had to leave.
So
I had to leave and come back. So, but no, what I was saying though is maybe you want to try trans submission, because you keep talking while I'm talking. So what I was saying was, you really catching a stray. You're the subject matter. I agree, but the reason why I'm talking about it, I didn't talk about this since January. But when I'm told I'm a Fed and I'm an op by Tariq because I asked the question, I'm going to address it. So you have a right to respond. I'm not controlling that, but I'm just letting you know there was nothing that you did that made me talk about this. I ain't even been on Twitter. I don't be on Twitter like that. Like sometimes I stream my rooms when I do, but I ain't even been on Twitter like that. But when I heard it and they sent it to me, I just responded to it. So you really catch it astray. But don't say that I've been talking about you for a year, because that's a lie. I haven't talked about you since January. You don't mean anything to me. I'm pretty sure I don't mean anything to you. Floor is yours.
So you absolutely don't mean anything to me, because I don't recognize Buster. So let's keep that straight, Buster. Now, you just told a lie, because a video was just released with you talking about me. Now, you may have not called me by name, but you insinuated of who you were speaking about, and everyone knows my name, because you can put my name on YouTube and multiple videos will come up from the content that you have created, T. So if we're going to tell the truth, tell it all. You may have not said my name, but you have referenced me this entire year. Now, I don't know what the deal is with you and Tariq. I don't know if your feelings are hurt. I don't know if you were trying to be Tariq's best friend and he dismissed you. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Okay? But you and the Israelites have had my name in y'all mouth for an entire year. On TikTok, on YouTube, on Twitter X, and Instagram. Now tell me I'm lying, because I can pull up the receipts.
I can't speak for every Israelite. I can speak for myself. When I was being interviewed and I was talking about FBA and the weird shit that goes on Twitter, I mentioned it. But that's just on subject because I'm asked. But to talk about you specifically, no. Again, the subject is just, I think we was talking about homosexuality. We was talking about trans, and how could any straight men allow a trans woman to represent them as the queen? That just don't make sense to me. But for a whole year, no. But if I'm ever asked about it, I do talk about it. And I don't say names because I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered by anybody. I talk about what's current. I answer questions that I'm asked. So when it comes to Twitter and you calling yourself, I think you're on video telling Charleston White that if Tariq Nasheed is number one, you're number two. I don't understand how the niggas on here that say they FBA is standing for this shit. I'm just confused about the shit. Like what real nigga is like, yep.
Nobody takes Giselle serious.
I ain't heard nobody
Excuse me?
I don't know. It's
First
different.
of all,
It's different.
this man
In my
just
world,
told a lie.
hold on, G. Hold on, G. Wait. But you
12
gotta
days
let me
ago,
finish.
there's a video.
I didn't interrupt you.
12 days.
I didn't interrupt
I
you.
understand that, but I'm not gonna let you lie on my name. 12 days
I'm not
ago,
lying on you. He
12
said you're
days
not
ago,
relevant. I didn't say that.
I'm very relevant. 12 days ago,
But I
there's a
didn't say.
video
But
on
I didn't say
YouTube
that.
with you bringing my name up. 12 days
Okay.
ago.
Again, in that video,
12 days.
no problem. In that video, I'm asked about FBA and Tariq Nasheed and the movement. And so I gave a story about that. That's why I said, January, I haven't talked about you. But when I'm asked a question, I'm going to answer the question and then give my opinion. And that's my opinion of the FBA on Twitter. That's why I was specific. If you look at the video, when I put the words in there, I said, I'm on no disrespect to the FBA. I'm only talking about on Twitter. So when we got to the subject of Tariq Nasheed, that's the memory that he's left me. The memory that he's left me is that the nigga said, I'm a troll and try to downplay me just asking him if this was legit or not. Because like I said, with Charleston White, you said Tariq's number one, you're number two. I ain't seeing nobody. If you was look, for the sake of argument, let's say if you was in the Israelite space and you said what you said to Charleston White, you put on X what you saying, like you the number two in the Israelite community. We'd be condemning you left and right. We wouldn't even stand for it. We'd be talking about it. We'd be making sure that everybody knows that you're not affiliated with us. It doesn't seem to be that way on Twitter when it comes to you. It seems like it's accepted. And so that's my opinion. And that's why I don't take FBA on Twitter seriously. It's a fucking joke to me because they allow a trans woman, a man who pretends to be a woman, to be the queen when there's other women and you think that they were venerated. And what mind boggled me back in January is how men and women, and so I have to disagree with Rhea that says it's a troll and that G don't matter because it was men and women defending G against me. So you can't tell me it's a troll. You can't tell me it don't matter if people that are FBA are defending him or excuse me, G. So it's hard for me to believe that.
So I would say again, because outside of, I think with it being an ethnonym, with FBA being an ethnonym, right? Not identified with a political movement or anything. I'm talking about just labels saying, hey, I'm foundationally Black, right? Descendants of American chattel slavery. And that's how I think it comes up to. I don't think you want to, like, because then now you're looking like something else outside of just being, right, that ethnonym that means something for this ethno group. I don't see how you would put anybody out or tell a Black American what they're not, even though if they're gay or whatever they identify with, right? Gay, trans, whatever. So that's where I come at with it. So how, you know,
Nah, but see, Rio, that's
folks and
okay.
certain topics out of conversations I hear, but I'm saying if it's an ethnonym like it's described as, you can't put anybody out. You can't.
No, I'm not trying to control who could be it. And that's what I'm glad you said it because that's what I want to make clear. And y'all FBA movement, y'all can have whatever y'all want in it. What I don't understand is how your queen is a man. I want that very clear. Your queen is a trans woman.
Who is the man? Where is the man?
Listen.
I don't listen to this conversation. I don't think Captain get it though. She's just whatever Giselle is. TS Giselle is a troll. TS Giselle is like the Mississippi Messiah, Tyrone, calling your channel. He just be trolling y'all. He's like Judah. That's one big troll. So I don't think, and we kept asking that. I don't think he got the whole thing that, because I'm reading the comments in the video, right, for Tazaryach, for Tariq, right? Look at this comment right here, and this is not a fair comment to Captain Tazaryach, because I don't think they understand where Tazaryach is coming from. Tazaryach has been an op since the Sonnet days, but people did tell Tariq to stop bringing T.S. Giselle up. Nobody wanted to hear all of that. True. What was the point to crack a couple jokes? I guess, but the shit wasn't funny. It was quite irritating. So when people are talking about this, I don't think anybody takes T.S. Giselle serious. And I think that's why Tariq was like, why is this dude bringing it? But Tariq don't know that we don't really listen to you like that on this side of the world. I don't listen to Tariq show. I don't think I don't know. But to call him an op is, I think he took it too far. I think he took it too far on that. And of course, Captain had to respond. But let's listen to a little bit more of this, and then I'll get to the rest of the show.
You're the man. Listen, you're the man. Y'all got two niggas as the king and queen of FBA.
Where's the man?
So Rhea, that's the only thing I'm talking about. When you talk, we hear man. We hear retarded man. When you talk, we hear retarded nigga talking. That's what we hear. We don't hear you, the man.
Who's the man? Because all I see is the beautiful natural blonde. And that's what the men see.
You ain't nothing natural blonde about you. Your hair ain't naturally blonde. Your breasts ain't natural. Your voice ain't natural. There's nothing natural about you.
It's all natural.
No, it's not. It's not natural.
It's all natural. It's all
yeah, salute that lover for that. When I was saying that, I was thinking of the movie Who's the Man myself when I was saying that.
It's all natural.
That ain't nothing natural about your retarded ass. If you don't get the fuck out of here, so Rhea, the only issue I was talking about was the queen part.
That's not natural.
If y'all decide y'all want gays to be a part of your movement, I've seen it everywhere. Civil rights had gays. Bayard Rustin was in there. Black Lives Matter, two lesbians. But they never. And you know what's funny? I spoke against. And let me tell you, with Black Lives Matter, I spoke against Black Lives Matter because y'all are similar when you think about it. The Black Lives Matter was founded by two lesbians and said we're about the woman, child, and the parent. They didn't include the man. And the FBA, y'all got two niggas as y'all head on Twitter. You got Tariq and a nigga that was born a man but identifies as a woman today.
How about this though? If you're saying that this person is all I just heard you say they not stable, they just talking all this shit, I'm gonna go with that too, right? If you're gonna put it in that,
right.
I'm gonna go with they not stable, they just calling themselves that off a troll.
Right.
And,
I'm with you.
I'm gonna go, and the big FBA. That's where I'm gonna go with it too.
So
that's what I'm saying. So can't nobody. So what I don't understand is why anybody is getting mad at me. Y'all should be like, fuck it. That's what it is.
Well, that is what it is.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, G, you ain't gotta say that to me. You gotta say that to them. But to the outside world, where black men are constantly removed, where black men are constantly not taken serious. Where black women, listen, there's no, you trans women.
That was an accident. I was coming back in. Go ahead.
Oh, my bad. Trans women, y'all are the most chauvinistic species on the planet because trans women have convinced women that it doesn't matter your insides, it only matters your outside. Trans women have convinced women that if I got titties, I'm just like you. So they get fake titties. If I got a booty, I'm just like you. So they go get a fake ass. If I get surgery or take testosterone to take the bass out of my voice, I'm just like you. That's chauvinistic because you're making a woman less than, because a woman is more than that. And in America, with the attacks on black people since buck breaking, since making a man put on a dress in Hollywood, it's appalling to me that a group that called themselves Foundational Black American are not trying to have anything foundational in their roots as far as what represents them. So to let a trans woman be a queen instead of letting a woman be a queen is diabolical. That is diabolical. It makes no sense to me. Like how does that not make sense to the men in the room? How do the men in the room? How do y'all feel? Like it don't even matter how I feel. Like I'm gonna leave this room. I got a live stream to do in about 20 minutes. I'm gonna leave this room. I'm gonna go about my day. But y'all niggas on Twitter got to see this nigga say that he the queen of y'all shit.
Okay, so are you finished? Because see, you wanted to come in here and give your nasty big.
I didn't ask for a room to be created. Somebody told me the room was created. I asked Re-Up if it was. I said if he do it, let me know.
I'm reclaiming my time. So you wanted to come in here and give this nasty, twisted, bigoted version. I know who you are and what your organization.
This ain't bigoted. Listen, I want a woman to be a queen of FBA. I don't want a man to be the queen of FBA. I just want a woman to be the queen. I tell you what. Denounce that man throne. Y'all got two kings. Denounce that man throne and put a real woman on that throne.
I did not
How about that?
You, and I would like to.
Let's put. Hey, y'all should put a poll up. Should a real woman be up on the throne? Like, why? How long you gonna disrespect a real woman and take the title of queen? That's you. That ain't me. I'm fighting for women. I'm fighting for the women of FBA to stop letting niggas control y'all.
Respond.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Now, so let's be very clear. You only wanted to come and participate in this conversation because you saw it as an opportunity to spread hatred and bigotry. You see, the difference between FBA and your organization is the FBI lists your organization as a hate group because that's what you are. Let me tell you something. I am very proud to be Black. I am very proud to be a Black American. I am very proud to be of African descent. I don't have to cosplay who I am. I know what I am. But do you know what you are? Do the people in your organization know what you are? And you want to talk about disrespecting women? Let me tell you something. Black women are the earth. I am not a genetic, biological Black woman, and don't you ever put that out there. I have never stated that I am a transgender American and I am a human. And there's nothing that you or the bigots in your organization can do to change that. But you want to talk about bigotry and disrespecting women? Women have no place in your organization. Women play second fiddle to the man in your organization. They're not allowed to do anything. Women in your organization are not allowed to express themselves. It's 2025. You want women to play a secondary role to the man when it should be the woman's choice how she reacts. But I won't speak for women. But you're not going to proclaim that I have an issue with genetic, organic women. I do not. Let's be very clear. It is your organization. It is the Israelites that treat women like property and not the queens that they are.
So
I'm not
so it's
finished.
interesting. I'm sorry. My bad.
I am not finished.
My bad. You
now,
got it.
I know that you Israelites are accustomed to talking down on women and thinking that women are less than men and not equal to you, but you've met your match tonight. I am P.S. Giselle, and don't you or the Israelites ever forget it. I'm every girl's dream, every man's fantasy, and I am an equal to you. That is why you really don't like me. And you don't think that people like me, that present like me, have a place in this world. Well, I'm here to tell you, we have a place in this world. There's nothing that you can do to stop it. You can continue to preach your hate on YouTube. You can preach your hate on Twitter. You can preach your hate on TikTok. That's why you have the problem with FBA. And let me be very clear. FBA is just a cultural lineage. You can never deny me my culture, my lineage, and my heritage. I am very proud to be who I am. Do you understand? And this is why the government lists your organization as a hate group.
So it's interesting that I'm told I'm cosplaying when I'm talking to a nigga with fake titties and a fake ass. It don't get no more cosplaying than that. Secondly, I am very specific about what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about your right to identify as a foundational Black American. I'm talking specifically that you, born a man, transition to a woman, gets to be the queen when there are women that should be that role. And then you brought up how we're on the white man's hate group. Anytime you talk about Black love and calling white people for the crimes that they committed, you are going to be a hate group. That's not a big deal to me. As far as our women go,
How can you
you asked me not to interrupt you, and so I stopped. You asked me not to interrupt. Thank you. So when you talk about our women, what I want to start off first, the top woman in our school is a natural born woman. There is no top woman in the Israelite community that's a fucking man. That I can tell you. There is no woman in our community that is a woman, born a man, transition to a woman, and we say, we're going to call you the top. Because I want everybody to pay attention. Don't let nobody spin what I'm saying. If FBA, which is just a race of people that y'all identifying no different than the term African American, colored, XYZ, I get it. And so you're not a monolith. So if in y'all thing, if you're gay, if you're straight, if you're lesbian, if you're bi, if you're normal, whatever it is, you're still considered FBA. Y'all probably consider me FBA. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is how y'all let a nigga transition to a woman be your queen. Because in our community, when you say they abuse, I would have to vehemently disagree. I just recently did a tour of my schools across the United States. Our women do great things. Our women are in charge of education in our schools, our GD programs. Our women are in charge of our 501c3 programs. Our women do great things. The only thing a woman can't do in our community is sit at the top and teach class as far as over the men. But if our women taught other women, that's fine. If our women taught the children, that's fine. But there's men to teach men and men to lead the class. Outside of that, a woman can do whatever it is she wants. We got lawyers, we got doctors, we got nurses, we got all that. We got farms, we have all of that. So when you try to paint the narrative and try to spin it like our women are abused, that's just not the case. So back on subject, the issue that I'm addressing that y'all are okay with in the FBA on Twitter is that a man can be a woman and be your queen. That's what I'm talking about.
I think we've had pushback from a lot of FBA women, right, on the troll again, because this came from a Pan-African flat black side of the app who are again and not with this content. So when they went with this and that troll, a couple folks picked up on it, and that's where we are. I don't think we were with it, nor would we have come up with that list of let's say candidates for to be chosen, right? If we would have chosen that on this side of the app, I don't think that's who would have been voted. But again, it was who held the poll, who nominated this person, and who even put this person in the nominees, right? That's what
Yeah. So G was competing against real women, right?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
And so the people that voted chose the trans woman over real women.
A bunch of Haitians, a bunch of Haitians and not what we consider tethers. It was a bunch of tethers who chose this. So
I don't care who chose. I don't know that. How would I know that? I don't know that. When you say don't assume
he's not aware.
Don't assume you should ask. Like Rhea, and I'm glad you're the one running this room, because when I asked this back in January, I actually just re-uploaded that video from January because people thought I was capping. They thought I knew this and I didn't know that. I don't know that. That's why I was asking back then. Sir. Because all I'm being shown, and all women. Listen, right now, women are texting me, telling me how G attacks women because that's what men do. How G threatens women because that's what men do, and how they don't agree with that. So there's women that call themselves FBA that got an issue with it.
Who?
There's men that should men should have an issue with it.
Who?
So if you actually so now just think about this as G just tried to say as G just tried to say as G just tried to say as G just tried to say
stay out of
that
this. This man
as
drug my
G
name through the mud.
as
Stay out of
G
it. This
just
is a
all I
conversation
want to
between
do
me
but
and
when you spoke I let you speak though. So let me finish and then I'll give you the floor.
Thank you. I got a
No,
rebuttal
I
for
would
you, sir.
no problem. And so for you to say that we hate women, but you're calling yourself the queen of the FBAs, there ain't no more hatred because if you loved women, you know what you'd have said? I'm gonna take a back seat on this one. I'm not the queen. I could never be the queen. Let me venerate the natural born woman and let her be it. But instead, because men are dominant, and they think they're dominant, you still have a man's mental domination. And so your dominant brain said, fuck that. I'm the motherfucking queen. That's what you said. And so you hate women because if you loved the black women of the FBA, you would have took a back seat to those women, but you didn't. And so now those women got to see once again where this in the LGBTQ telling us we can't have our power is now black men or a man born a woman now telling us the same thing. So it's you that hate women, not me. I'm done.
Okay, so let's be very clear. In your cult, I understand that women are not equal to men, but that is not how I was raised. You see, the reason that I can be visible is because I'm visible. Women have no place in society other than bearing your children in your cult. Women
That's a lie.
cannot even show their flesh because of what you say. Women have no ability to learn, to show who they are, to even choose who they marry. So what I want to allow you to do is to insinuate that I hate women. So you want to talk about women's rights? Let's talk about how Hebrew Israelites treat women and what they can do, who they can date, who they can marry, how they can dress. They can't even show their hair.
Who said that though? Where's your proof of
So
that?
before you come for me and who I am, you may want to look at your
But where
own.
do they say?
Excuse me, I am not finished, sir. I did not interrupt you, and I would appreciate it
That's a
if
lie.
you don't
But I
interrupt
won't
me.
interrupt you again. No, you did interrupt, but I
So
won't interrupt you again.
you will not use how I present to the world to condemn me over a troll. It is a troll, but I am far more concerned about how you treat black women and how you respect women. I know many women
So you
that
saying you
belong.
didn't mean it when you say you was the
Please,
first FBA lady, and so
please,
you saying you was trolling.
please,
You yield, right? You
please,
concede.
please. I know
I'm
many
trying to
women.
understand. Are you conceding? Are you
I know
are you
many
tap dance
women.
like Gregory
I
Hines?
know
Are you
many
saying that I
women.
didn't mean that? Yes.
I know many women that belong to your cult, sir. I don't know.
Listen,
I don't
so
know what
when you
takes
say
place. I don't know if those women are abused mentally,
right,
verbally, or
right.
physically.
So when you say things, I'm gonna just now in this part, right? As I'm talking, if
And
you
I'm
interrupt
not
me on
finished. I am not finished.
no, I was gonna ask a request. I was just gonna ask
I
a
am
request.
not
That's all.
finished, sir. Okay? Now, you said, why would I not take a back seat? Because guess what? I don't have to take a back seat because I don't associate with insecure women. The Hebrew Israelite women may be insecure, but the beautiful black sisters that I know, they love me and I love them back. They're not insecure. I interact on a daily basis with secure women. They're secure enough to know that they are the queens of the earth, that they birth life, and that Tia Giselle is no threat to them. They're
But you
secure.
number two
I
though.
have
But you number
support.
two though.
I have support of
You
many women.
you number
What you
two though.
will not do, my biggest supporters, sir, are actually biological black women. And what I want to allow you to do is to paint a narrative
And
that I am a
make
threat
sure them lights
to
get set
them.
up. I know my phone
That's
ring,
what
but
I
make
want
sure
to
them
allow
lights
you
get
to
set up.
do, sir. I will not
All right.
allow you
Meaning like
to
set up
form a
good where they bright.
narrative that I
All
am
right.
a threat to women. I am not. Do not ever compare the women that I know to those insecure,
Mm.
battered women in your organization.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say with that. So no women are better. And what I was gonna say was when I lay out these points, if you address something that I say as a point, and we could actually have a back and forth, I don't mind if you interrupt me this time, right? So when you brought out we control who they marry, we don't control who they marry, but both Israelite men and Israelite women have rules of who they.
You see, this is where it goes wrong because Cap, you can't. I wouldn't have changed the conversation to have, but now you're trying to put Hebrew Israelites on trial, talking about woman rights, and you're not a woman. You see, Cap is beating her up about the whole time she's taking a woman's space, but you want to have a conversation with her about real women. You're justifying her in her whole old world. You know what I'm saying? The back and forth, I can't do that. So that's the only thing I really disagree with Cap with the whole conversation. Otherwise, as FBA, I'm not an FBA. I can't speak for what FBA do. But as far as Tariq, I don't think Tariq actually supports. They look on T.S. Giselle as a troll. And that's what the guy was telling you too. And you not acknowledge it. So I think you saw the opportunity and did what you did. That's how I look at it. But the back and forth with T.S. Giselle, nah. Well, anyway, let me move on from here. Let's get to this whole thing about Gentiles. Genesis exposes one was teaching Gentile salvation, and look at what this guy is providing. And I want people to look at this with an open mindset. This is how I feel. I'm not entertaining no transformer. None. You see, what happened is he's an Israelite, he's anti the behavior. So you want to promote your anti-behavior to somebody who don't accept that in a world that accepts transgender. That's craziness. But the FBA, they already said, nah, that's not the leader. That's a front. That's a troll. All right. But anyway, moving on from that, started right here. Israel doctrine started salvation for everybody. Very interesting. Very interesting. Let's get to this video right here. You're saying that the founders of ISUPK, they're trying to say Abba Bivens is the founder, that he taught salvation for all. Let's take a look at this right here.
Coming out saying we were wrong. I'll tell you what our brother Gorilla Hebrew did say. It's going to be hard for y'all if you take the.
All right. So there's this camp called Genesis. I love the brothers. Love what they're doing. They still teach the same one West craziness that I beat up every week here. And I don't think African Americans or FBA or ADOS, I don't think we are far and large Hebrew Israelites. As far as the organization Black Hebrew Israelites, I think every Black American can be a Black Hebrew Israelite because it's made in America and it's to identify who we think Black Americans should be. Just like I believe that every Black American should be a part of the Nation of Islam. Every Black person is a Rasta. These are things that are made in America, and I accept them for what they are. They are after slavery movements because we didn't know who we are because we got cut off from our roots. So we needed to identify who we are. We wanted to have our own identity. So I don't blame Black people for trying to say, hey, I'm an Israelite, I'm a Nation of Islam, I'm Nuwapian, I'm a Moorish Science Temple, I'm a Rastafarian, I'm an Ethiopian, I'm this. Listen, you're all of that. All that represents is the tribalism that we come from. Yoruba, Igbo, Akan. Akan is split up into the Asante, the Fan, the whatever. You have the Ajafan people, you got the Yoruba people, you got Nigerians, you got all these different names today mixed with old stuff. So we're a tribal people. So of course I'm going to gravitate to Rastafarianism. Of course I'm going to gravitate towards Hebrew Israelism, Black Hebrew Israelism. Of course somebody going to gravitate to Moorish Science Temple. And by the way, too, before I play this video, let me make it clear to everybody. I have the right, and everybody have the right to call it Black Hebrew Israelism. And I'm gonna tell you why. And it's a game that a lot of people playing. But if we should be called Black Hebrew Israelites or whatever. But let's be honest, family. Let's be honest. Hold on a second here. Let me see what's up here. Let me take this off. Hold on a second here. Where is this video? History. Let's go to history real quick. Hold on there. 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 Hold on there, family. Hold on there with me. Hold on there. Hold on there. Hold on there. One West history. Let's get to this real quickly here. Let me take this down and let me put this up for y'all for a second. Using the term Black Hebrew Israelite is not a bad thing. It's not a white supremacy thing. It's what they call themselves.
On the highest and on earth, peace to people of goodwill. So back on March 21st of this year, 2024, the Genesis 49ers channel had a video exploring a standard yet controversial aspect of One West Israelite theology and anthropology. And about 13 and a half minutes into the show, Tazaryach, a high-ranking member or captain of the Neo-ISUPK, posted a comment in the live chat, which they put on the screen. And his comment was objecting to their use of the phrase Black Hebrew Israelite, or its acronym BHI. You see, Tazaryach claimed that this term is racist and is an attack on Israelites. Now, this sort of objection has been floating around for years, perhaps for over a decade, but it's still a relatively new one in the grand scheme of things, and it's an artificial objection as well. You see, it's pushed by men who are either unfamiliar with or not entirely honest about the history of the Israelite spectrum. Now, in the interest of charity, I'll assume that Tazaryach was merely unfamiliar with the history of the term. But he's part of a group which seems to have a leadership which is not entirely honest about that history. For example, the leadership of the Neo-ISUPK has not been entirely honest about how the name of the school at One West was Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge, not Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Israeli, not Israelite. The Neo-ISUPK doesn't have exactly the same name as the old school, but they lead people to think otherwise. But whatever the case, the point that I'm trying to make there is that while Tazaryach may be sincerely unfamiliar with the history of this topic, his leadership might be familiar with it, at least the man at the top of his group. And for him to allow men under him to think like this is questionable, right? But I wanted to make a short video which quickly gets into the history of this phrase, Black Hebrew Israelite. So you see, it was the Hebrew Israelites themselves who introduced this phrase. For starters, Shalik ben Yehuda wrote a book back in 1975 titled Black Hebrew Israelites From America to the Promised Land. However, in the past, when I've brought this point up on social media, certain Hebrew Israelites who want to hang on to this polemic would object that they've never heard of Shalik ben Yehuda before. And, they'd say that for all they know, he might be an agent, right? Okay. So let me cite another example. Let's cite One West itself, right? And here I want to say that I personally remember around the time that Braveheart was in theaters. So we're talking like the mid 1995. So before the House of David split, in fact. But around that time, mid 1995, when Braveheart was in theaters, Arya, one of the leaders of One West, was in Times Square, and he was repeatedly using that phrase, Black Hebrew Israelite, whether in the singular or the plural. And he was using it in reference, partially in reference to that film, to Braveheart, right? And I'm telling you, I was right there on the sidewalk. I personally witnessed Arya say things like, William Wallace was a Black Hebrew Israelite. And then he would say, Edward the Longshanks was a Black Hebrew Israelite. He would say it just like that. And then he declared that Longshanks was a wicked king. And I guess at that point he felt like segueing into other wicked English Israelite kings. And so he declared, King Henry VIII was a Black Hebrew Israelite, but he was wicked. And then he would talk about, his divorces and all that kind of thing. For real, that really happened. And, then Arya went on to say that the Scottish were...
You know what? I'm playing the wrong video. Let me play the 2-minute video. Yeah, I'm playing this because I want to I want to give a foundation of what's really going on here and how people think.
And then when we come out, there's a term I think even you said when you introduced Captain Akkad, you called him a black Hebrew Israelite. That's like saying the N-word.
I'm going to declare to you tonight, the Black Hebrew Israelites will be the biggest black radical organization on the face.
Is that General Yahanna? This is April 12, 2014. Is that General Yahanna or is that AI? Let's pull it back. We got to be careful because their history, they're very emotional when it comes to their history. So you have to, you see, I wouldn't get in a debate with Abu because Abu gonna find a tape of Garfield saying something from 2012 that I forgot that I said. So this is what Abu is doing. So you're making the claim in 2025 that it's a racist statement, but look at who is saying it's not racist.
And then when we come out, there's a term I think even you said when you introduced Captain Akkad, you called him a black Hebrew Israelite. That's like saying the N-word.
I'm going to declare to you tonight, the Black Hebrew Israelites will be the biggest black radical organization on the face of this earth. That's right. See if I'm wrong. See if I'm going to declare to you tonight, the Black Hebrew Israelites will be the biggest black radical organization on the face of this earth.
You already know what time it is. I should be king.
Paul had a lot of credit, but Corinthians gave him no credit. You ain't SH Paul. You ain't done nothing, Paul. That's the mentality of the Black Hebrew Israelites today.
Stuff going on and all this information, and I'm talking to you Black Hebrew Israelites. You still arguing amongst each other, arguing about the name, arguing about multiple wives. You're worthless. You have nothing to bring to building the nation up and to doing what Christ said.
When you look at a lot of these religious organizations, I don't care who they are, be it the Black Hebrew Israelites or the Nation of Islam, the Jewish people,
the Black Hebrew Israelites or the Black Hebrews of Dimona, many of their leaders came out of our movement. Our rabbi, in fact, taught Ben Ami, who was the leader of the group in Dimona. And there were several philosophical differences, ideological differences, theological differences, and thus Ben Ami and several other members departed.
So now when you have people calling people Black Hebrew Israelites, then that put them under the BIE. Most people say drop the black. We ain't used that in a long time since back in the days when everybody was black and proud. Just use Hebrew Israelite. But Hebrew Israelite also carry a negative connotation politically in the world stage. Now,
and deception, our emotions get the.
What's up, Kwame?
Hey, peace, Garfield. I ain't mean to derail your show. I just wanted to say, can you do a show on?
Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. You don't need to come on stage to say that. Put it in the chat.
Right.
All right, I got you. Now I'm gonna play this every week. I talk about Hebrew Israelites because you have to know who you're dealing with and the mindset. All right. So this is Matt from Useful Charts, and he's talking about how he was a part of British Israelism, because the way how I got into fighting so-called Hebrew Israelites is basically from British Israelism. This is who I used to fight. So I still fight them today because there's some people that said Israel only, some white people that said only them alone could be saved. So there's always some white folks trying to claim stuff. So don't think I'm just fighting the Hebrew Israelites for being naive and needed to wake up from what they're under, the spell. But watch this right here.
Family trees, and number 2, the Bible. The main reason for this is that the cult I grew up in connected these two things in a very strange way, based on an idea called British Israelism. And even though I left the cult as an adult, rejected its ideas, and have since converted to a mainstream.
I am saying that the elders in One West pretty much copied British Israelism. That's what I am saying. I'm making it loud and clear. So by destroying British Israelism, I'm actually destroying One West at the same time. Now, if you want to be a Black Hebrew Israelite, I am for that. I'm a black Hebrew Israelite. I'm a descendant of slaves that stay here that's looking for an identity. I'm also Nation of Islam. I'm also a Rasta. I'm all of that because we're searching for an identity because we don't have one. When the last time you heard a black person say, I'm an American? You hardly hear them say that. I'm talking in the less than 1%. Maybe the people, the majority do. But I'm talking about the people that are part of these quote unquote. They never call themselves an American. Never. They always have to identify, I'm an Israelite. I'm an Israelite. Never an American. That's a byword to them. Well, anyway, let's
branch of progressive Judaism. It was this particular theory that sparked my lifelong interest in charting history. So in this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what British Israelism is. And because this theory unfortunately still comes up from time to time in discussions about royal genealogy, I'm also going to tell you why British Israelism is wrong. Speaking cults have the following 4 characteristics. Differences between a cult and a religion. But generally speaking, cults have the following 4 characteristics. 1. A single charismatic leader who is the ultimate authority on all things, and whom the cult members follow unquestionably. 2. Almost perfect uniformity when it comes to
General Yahanna. Now watch this. Almost perfect uniformity of beliefs and behaviors. This is why Genesis is in a box and certain things HOI teach with Zabak is in a box. And this is why Sikari is in a box because they're not in uniformity. You have to believe what we believe. You have to. You have to teach a 2,000-year prophecy. But continue. Let's check it out.
Beliefs and behaviors. Critical thinking skills and differences of opinion, even on minor issues, are actively discouraged, usually by means of strict rules, a rigid hierarchy, and subtle brainwashing techniques. 3. An elitist attitude combined with separation from the larger society. In other words, there's the belief that the cult is right and everybody else is wrong. Even in cases where the cult members don't actually live together, they are usually encouraged to spend most of their time doing cult-related activities and to limit time spent with outsiders. Finally, 4. Weird or wacky beliefs that fall outside of generally acceptable societal norms. Now, for some people, any kind of belief in God is considered to be a weird or wacky belief. But regardless of your position on that, believing in God is in fact a generally acceptable societal norm, as is going to a place of worship, praying, and singing religious songs. But cults tend to go beyond this sort of stuff. For example, my cult believed that God was going to destroy the world very soon, that a European superpower called the Beast was going to appear, and that we, the chosen few, were going to hide out in Petra. But one of the other weird and wacky beliefs that the Worldwide Church of God promoted is something called British Israelism. The idea first became popular in the 1800s, and today it is still being promoted by groups such as those that follow a white supremacist ideology called Christian identity. But during the second half of the 20th century, which is when I was born, it was primarily associated with the Worldwide Church of God, due to a short book written by Herbert Armstrong called The United States and Britain in Prophecy. So now let me give you a brief overview of the theory. In my biblical genealogy series, I talked about how Jacob had 12 sons and how the descendants of those sons eventually became the 12 tribes.
All right. So he talks about wacky beliefs, right? Look at this right here. This cult belief. This is what they believed. I got to show this every week to remind people.
God is going to send his decree in these last days, and that is to totally annihilate America. America will be blown off the face of the earth by the year 2000. It's talking about Judgment Day.
The Christ is coming back on the white horse. And he's coming back. And he's going to take down the white man, the Edomites. That's why your Pope is down on the ground. It's going to happen by the year 2000. You ready? That's it, yeah.
These places that's going to be hit in this thermonuclear war is America. America's going to be wiped off the face of the planet Earth. That's going to take place before the year 2000. That's right. That's going to take place before the year 2000. That's right. That's going to take place before the year 2000. That's right. America has less than 628 days. America has less than 628 days. America has less than 628 days before this country is taken out in thermonuclear destruction.
This kingdom, America, is going to be destroyed before the year 2000.
Evil kingdom that God spoke of in the Bible. And all you so-called white people, your condemnation, you are condemned to what? Hell. And you're going to be in hell, you're going to be oppressed before the year 2000. Christ is going to come back.
Museum America is going to be destroyed before the year 2000 by thermonuclear destruction.
So you see, they're no different than British Israelism. Yeah, they're gonna have certain things that they don't believe, but if you look at the breakdowns of coming from the Scythians and all, where they got that from? Where they got that British means men of the covenant? Where did they get that from? Where did they get that Sake is the sons of Isaac? The Scythians is called Saka, and it's Isaac. Where did they get that from? Where did they get it from? They got it from British Israelism, or proponents of British Israelism, or the Jews for Jesus, the Baptist people who weren't really Jews. 1866. And if you look at the trend of the 12-tribe chart, they had their own 12-tribe chart, but theirs went to Europe where the white folks are included, and then they call Ephraim and Manasseh, England and America. So pretty much all they did was switch all the areas where black folks predominantly weren't. The Caribbean, the Native Americans, and the Latinos. So they're saying these black people are the chosen people. So that's what they did with the chart. So now, bear in mind, Genesis still believes this. So when we're watching this is not like they're leaving One West teachings. They're just saying that we have upgraded some of the teachings to this point. So I don't know why people even mad with them. But what they're doing now is saying that, listen, your original leader, Abba Bivens and Ariyah, taught this. That's a big blow. But there's more to the story. Let's check it out.
Take the debate. He said that. That's a fact. Matter of fact, he told us that Vocab Malone told him that he's the only one that could stand a chance against our PDF, our position. Now, whoever Von Wafer is, we don't even know you. So, tell your leader to contact us and you can see what happens to him. Anyway, I love all Israel. I want to keep it at that. But look at some of these. Look at, somebody said we're the CIA. That means the founders of ISUPK are the CIA. Then you guys want to join Vocab. That means Priest Sabak wants to join Vocab. All we're saying is what HOI and Priest Sabak said.
Yeah, no, I was saying that the chart, the One West chart, does come after, but there's a chart by a guy by the name of Yair. He's the one that what you call it, made a chart. David Yair that made a chart after the One West one.
At least about Cornelius. But the elders of One West, they took it further. They said Gentile salvation, not just Cornelius. Can we prove this, everybody? First, I want to start off with Abba Bivens. And Abba Bivens did not start One West, but he taught the school of he started the school of Tanakh, right? And his students were the 7 who then went on to start the ISUPK. So what we have is Abba Bivens teaching Gentile salvation. Then we got the founders of ISUPK teaching Gentile salvation. So for ISUPK to sit up here and all you guys to say, oh my God, you guys are paid off, the CIA. Well, you would have to say that about the foundation of all you camps. If we're just being honest and real. Can we be honest and real? All right, so for those of you who don't know Abba Bivens, he got in the truth when he was like in the 40s, or really earlier than that. But he wrote the book late 40s, early 50s. That's when he wrote his book, Marks of a Lost Race. This is some of his recording right here, I think. If you're in the truth and you don't know who Abba Bivens is, you should get out the truth, learn your history, and then come back. You need to know your foundation. Abba Bivens, all the camps believe that he's John the Baptist. He's Elijah. He's John the Baptist. He's Elijah. Right? You guys can go listen to this on your own. All the camps believe he's John the Baptist and Elijah. And it's crazy because ISUPK says John the Baptist was not in the truth. So Elijah was not in the truth. So Abba Bivens was not in the truth, but he taught the seven who then, so somebody who was not in the truth taught the seven who then started the truth. Come on now. You follow that? You follow him? You follow that? What are we talking about?
Let me stop this for a minute. Take a break because we're gonna get to the bottom of the truth here. Here is Abu again making a video that it wasn't called Israelite school of practical knowledge. It was called Israeli. So when they say they're the original ISUPK, they got to put it back how it was.
As some know, there is a group today that's called the ISUPK, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, which will often misleadingly give the impression that it's the same group, which was at 1 West 125th Street in Manhattan, which was also called ISUPK. And one difference between the present day neo-ISUPK and the old ISUPK, which was at 1 West, is in the name itself. The current group calls itself the Israelite School of UPK, while the original group at 1 West was called the Israeli School of UPK. Now, most who are familiar with this topic will already know this, but there remain some confusion among others. And so I wanted to make a very quick video which serves as a quick and easy resource on the topic of what the name of the group originally was, at least when it was ISUPK. Now, this compilation will have clips from back in the mid-90s, as well as more recent clips of different figures who descend from that group, recalling its original name. And I'll reference all my sources in the description. Now, before we begin, I just want to put out a really quick technical note. It should be noted that even before the group was called the ISUPK, the school at 1 West was called the Israeli Tanakh School. That was back when it was under Bivens, and it was still called that even in the early 70s. But whatever the case, in this video, I just want to document that when the school at 1 West was called ISUPK, did the I stand for Israeli or Israelite? So here are some relevant clips. Enjoy. Feel free to share your thoughts, and God bless.
Okay, my name is Priest Yahanna. I'm a priest of the Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge, based out of 1 West 125th Street out of Harlem, New York. Our elders and high priests are Masha, Ariyah, Yaquab, Yeshaya, Shah, and Kazak.
Shalom, my brothers and sisters. This is High Priest Yeshaya once again, coming to you from the Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge. And the reader that I have today is a brother by the name of Priest Rahab. He's a one-shield general.
From 1 West.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. That's right. That's right. Like ISUPK, which back in the days, it was Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge. It wasn't the Israelite. Back in the days, we come from that. We never denied that shit. We come from we learned under Ariyah, okay, and us GMS, so to speak. ISU, meaning Yahanna's group, Nate.
The old school, which was the New York camp on 1 West 125th Street, they went under the name Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Maybe about a couple of years later, they changed their name to Israeli Church of Universal Practical Knowledge.
Absolutely.
And they had a 501c3.
I came to the truth in 1984, and of course, it was at 1 West 125th Street, the Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge, all right, in Harlem.
Just like you have General Yahanna, which is of the House of Saul, set up, you know, saying that the ISUPK is the only group out there that was I forget how they say it, you know, pretty much that they're the only authority of the they call it the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, which was the Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge when you go back to the original school at 1 West. So they changed that.
Universal, remember, it's Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Originally, it was the Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Why? Because back then, everybody was, like I said, tied to the white Jews. But when they started the Israeli School of UPK, they were trying to break away from it because they had found out from the visions and the scriptures that those white people were not the Jews.
Right. But when you actually dig into these old documents, you see it's consistently Israeli, not Israelite. Even when it was under Bibbins, it was the Israeli School of Tanakh. And, you know, this polemic against the word Israeli came later, apparently. It came apparently in the early 90s, I've seen.
Yeah, because what do they say now in regards to Israeli, Abu?
Well, they say it's you know, it's a fake word, you know, that they're Israelites, they're not Israelis. You know, honestly, it's bickering over a suffix, and funny enough, they're rejecting the Hebrew suffix for a Greek and Latin suffix. But nonetheless, you know, I think working within an English framework, their position is basically that the Bible says Israelite and Israeli is something that those people over there say, you know.
Now,
and so this sort of polemic arose later.
All right, so let's get back to that's just to bring context to what the brother is bringing out about Abba Bivens right here. All right, so let me see right here.
Let's go into his book. So this book is Marks of a Lost Race from the 40s, from late 40s to the early 50s. Marks of a Lost Race. Let's take a look at him teaching Gentile salvation, and then we're going to go into Ariah, Mashah, and Yaquab's book, and they taught Gentile salvation as well. Now, do I know the extent of their soteriology? No, not necessarily, because they don't talk about it extensively, but we know what we teach. So we can't say they're teaching exactly what we teach, but they're definitely teaching Gentile salvation. Here's the first one. There's no twisting this or getting around this. Look at on page 11. On page 11, I'll put the PDF to all these books in the description box, and we can show where the doctrine changed at. And some could venture to say, now I don't know if any of the elders are watching, but any of the elders, can you tell me when somebody said, why lie about Joel's room? I was in there. They talked not necessarily Joel, but other people talked all manner of evil against us in Joel's room. Come on, man. 300 people heard it. So anyway, if there's an elder in here, can somebody tell me when General Yahanna came into power? When did General Yahanna came into power? Because we have another book from the mid-90s. Rob said, no, they didn't. Okay. All right. Well, all you guys got to do is go play the replays and let you guys be the judge. Somebody tell me when Yahanna came into power. Look at Rob lying. Rob, he will be your friend one day, your enemy the next day. Rob, they said he sold out for money. So, Rob, you didn't hear that we sold out for money? Come on, dude. This is why I don't deal with double talking snakes. Rob is compromised. All right, so somebody said 1997. That's crazy because we have a book from 1995 to show when the doctrine changed. When the doctrine changed. It went from Romans 10:9. Look at this. Romans 10:9. Look what this on Marks of a Lost Race, page 11. Look at this. We find in Romans 10 and 9, Paul speaking to the natural Gentiles. He didn't say Israelite Gentiles. He said natural Gentiles. When he said, first of all, he's saying Paul is writing to some Gentiles. When he said, if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Joshua, and shalt believe in thine heart that God has raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. Put a bomb in the chat. Drop a bomb in the chat that who we believe to be John the Baptist and Elijah taught Gentile salvation to the 7 who then started ISUPK, and I'm going to show you them teaching the same thing. Drop a bomb in the chat. This is just what your elders taught. This is what the elders taught. So all you camp saying, oh, you guys sold out. You're CIA. You're doing it for money. Don't mention Abba Bivens anymore. Don't mention High Priest Ariah, Masha, who they believe to be King David. Oh, King David taught Gentile salvation. You guys hear this madness, though? All of these reincarnations, I don't agree with it, but this is what they think, the camps, by and large. Abba Bivens, John the Baptist, and Elijah, he taught Gentile salvation. Masha's King David, he taught Gentile salvation. I don't know who they said High Priest Ariah was. So you mad at us because we're going back to the original One West? Come on now. What are we doing? And he juxtaposes. He understood that there are Israelite Gentiles and then natural Gentiles. Because look, on page 10, look what he says. He says, so you see, they were not speaking about the natural Gentiles. So he said in John 7 and 35, the disperser, Israelite Gentiles. And he says that's not talking about the natural Gentiles. But over here in Romans 10 and 9, he says that's talking about the natural Gentiles. Captain Tazaryach, let that sizzle in your spirit. And listen, I'm not angry. I'm not going to insult you guys and hate you guys like you do us. I'm just simply pointing out the facts. That's it. Let's go to another page where somebody said we edited this. You're funny, brother. Anybody can go download this PDF. Dude is crazy. All right, so let's get another page. Let's get, again, nobody has peer reviewed our PDF files or called us out to debate or even called us out for a discussion on all of the PDFs. And we got 80 more verses and slides that we haven't even shown just in case you try to take the debate. Now let's go to what page? Let's go to page 16. Look at this on page 16, everybody. Let me direct your attention to page 16. He says that Paul, he's saying that the olive tree, the Gentiles that are grafted into the olive tree is natural Gentiles. Natural Gentiles. Romans 11. So this is page 16 at the bottom. He says, the last paragraph, these marks on the so-called Negro, there was no progress made in whatever he started. He became oppressed and angry at his failure and became to wonder why he did not prosper and why his eyes of understanding were blinded. Everybody listen to this. Were blinded. Hey, don't start nothing with Joel. All right? Don't try to start nothing with Joel. I mentioned about the room. We had the discussion. Anybody can go listen to the discussion. We're going to put it on the Genesis Clubhouse later this week, Lord willing. So anyway, Paul, so he said, then he would run to the Gentiles for help by getting into his political field to be saved. So this is talking about how the Negro would run to the Gentiles for help. You know what's crazy? This dude, Arnold the Destroyer, I have to say this, and then I'm going to leave the comment board alone. If you, I want everybody to hear this dude right here. Joel and Assad had a discussion about 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 1 to 4, that our brother Joel, respectfully, and it's public, so I can speak on it, didn't even want to give a position. But it's okay. The hate is real. We'll put it on YouTube and let the people see. All right, so, but look at this. Paul told the Gentiles about our blindness. Drop a bomb. Drop a bomb for Abba Bivens, who they believe is John the Baptist teaching Gentile salvation. But y'all mad at us? He just said Paul is writing to Gentiles in Romans 11 about our blindness. Let's go to another page. These guys are not One West, bro. None of these camps are One West. Let's go to 62. Page 62. Look what it says at the end. Paul was shown, last paragraph, Paul was showing that we did service to them that was by nature a law unto themselves and no God. We know this to be true by referring you to Romans 2 and 14. Look what they say. For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, these having not the law are a law unto themselves. Saying this is about natural Gentiles. What are we saying here? Oh, you guys are mad because we're teaching something similar.
Let's pause for a minute. Let's pause for a minute. Let me address something that Sister Mika says. Here is my Tahar, who was a part of the original One West school. Masha being King David. Let's check it out.
Groups out there, but there's only one group that's teaching the truth according to the way the Most High wants it to be taught, and that's GMS. Like I said, we challenge anybody on the planet. I don't give a damn if you're the Pope. I don't give a damn if you Rex Humbard. I don't give a damn if you Jeff. I don't give a damn who you are. When it comes to the scriptures, we the only ones that know the scriptures, all right? I told you, man, stop trying to find the truth yourself. Just come to Great Millstone. Whenever we say we have the truth, period.
Greetings. In one of my recent videos, I had some positive words about Rebel Alliance Media. As a result, I got a response to that video in the form of a comment from Tahar, the leader of the notorious Great Millstone Group. Writing under the name White Man is the Devil, Tahar asked, quote, "How can you say anything positive about the Ram when those two apostates don't even believe in the Lord?" End quote. The simple answer is that, if I agree with someone, I'm going to say so, and if I disagree, I'm going to say so. However, Tahar's comment has inspired me to make another video, another positive video about Rebel Alliance Media. In this video, I'd like to congratulate them on their constant pressure that they put on Great Millstone regarding their teaching that Masha is King David. So in this video, I'd like to briefly go through the history of that subject. In the 90s, the Israeli Church of Universal Practical Knowledge taught that a man named Moshe ben Charim and later Masha was King David reincarnated, here to usher in the destruction of America and to retake the throne. This turned out to be a false prophecy, as Masha was thrown out of the Israeli Church of Universal Practical Knowledge during a split, and a short while later he died, nearly penniless and having been abandoned by most of his followers. But there was a small core of his followers who continued to believe that he was King David even after his death. Most of those men, if not all of them, are in the Great Millstone Group today. So consider some of these clips of GMS members still saying that Masha is King David a decade after he died.
All of a sudden, they made everybody swear that Masha was King David, which he is King David. I'm just going to come out and say it, man. Fuck it, okay? Because that's what I was taught. I'm going to stick to what I was taught, man. He is King David. I don't give a goddamn about nobody liking it. He is King David, man. All right?
Let me say this. Now, I was there when Masha was in there, and that's the king of Israel. That's King David, right? Yep. Now, I'm not going to push that thing because that's a thing among us, right? Among the old cats. Me, this brother right here, we go back years, all right?
And we got a little treat for you brothers today. We're going to just go into show you a clip of some of our elders and the truth, beginning with Masha. And for those of you that can receive it, that is King David. We don't really push that out too much because we know that brothers really can't handle that.
Yeah, for those of you that can receive it.
Right.
For those of you that's on the level.
Now, the gentlemen in Rebel Alliance Media started making videos demanding that GMS prove their claim that Masha is King David. This was a fair request when you consider the GMS always quotes 1 Thessalonians 5:21 to everyone else, demanding that they, quote, prove all things, end quote.
And the scripture says, prove all things. All right?
Consider these clips of the gentlemen in Rebel Alliance Media pressing GMS over the course of several months on their teaching that Masha is King David.
Makadabia, we want to answer from Makadabia. Tahar, if you listen, you can answer them. We want to answer
And
from
we want proof that Masha is King David. This is 2009. You still believe Masha is King David, man? Listen, you guys are insane. You are mentally insane. And you guys make no sense. You coming at the Tazaryach here because he's claiming he's the Holy Spirit, but yet all of you guys subscribe to the ideology that Masha is King David. This is outrageous.
We want to answer. Prove to us Masha is King David.
You guys, and on top of that, the Marsh King asking, Masha King David. Why did he? Right. How is that a stupid question? That's what you teach. We actually have footage of you guys, saying, well, if you can receive it, Masha's King David. If you can receive it, what kind of nonsense is that? We're trying to receive it. We're trying to at least receive an answer.
Right. If we can receive, stop that crap. If you can receive it. See, the reason why you don't understand because you can't receive it.
Just fundamental questions regarding their faith. We want the evidence. We want the proof that Masha is King David. We want some kind of scriptural evidence. Prove to us how is Masha King David.
Now, having no proof, the men in GMS got frustrated and tried to threaten the men in Rebel Alliance Media. So consider this clip of one of the threats, followed by footage of the men in Rebel Alliance Media humorously responding to that threat by continuing to press their questions.
You're gonna be put to death, man. Right. Straight up. You're gonna be the next fucking Tony. Yep. And I hope you get plungers shoved up your ass, man. Right. Just get beaten to fucking smithereens, man. Yep. You're gonna be the next fucking Tony. Yep. And I hope you get plungers shoved up your ass, man. Just get...
He hopes I get plungers shoved up my ass because I asked him to prove that Masha is King David. Can you believe it?
That means he really wants you to turn gay.
What does that guy? What the?
And by the way, the plunger has to do with the police officer who pushed the plunger up the Haitian's guy's butt back in the 90s. If you hear early 90s, you know why he said that. That's why they made the plunger reference. Just a little history there. All right, now let's get back to this. So he showed Abba Bivens in his book. His book was written in the 1950s, by the way, too.
Similar to the foundation of your organizations today? Is that what we're doing? Crazy work. Now, we're going to, listen, we're going to go to High Priest Ariah. High Priest Ariah, right? So Abba Bivens taught High Priest Ariah, Masha, Yaquab, Lahab, Kazak, couple more people. Eventually, they had a white boy in the school who said he was Cornelius, which y'all mad at us. Y'all not sticking to their script. Y'all not sticking to the original script. So High Priest Ariah, this is him right here.
Third chapter. Whose Bible
Who was a mighty, mighty man, might I add, was before he blasphemed the Holy Spirit.
is this? Whose people get stupid? The records called the Bible are the records of the Israelites. The Greeks and the Romans took these records from the Israelites and they named it Biblos. That's how the name Bible came about.
Now let's go to his book. He takes excerpts from Marks of a Lost Race, Gentile salvation, literally. And then he teaches Gentile salvation on his own as well. But with also Israelite exclusivity. So we can see that he is still holding on to what Abba Bivens had taught him, but also teaching other things as well. So this is Ariah's first book, Change of Worlds. Change of Worlds. What's the date on this one? I'm not sure about the date on this one, but he has two. And listen, ISUPK are saying they haven't changed since 1969, but this says Israeli school. What? Somebody type in the chat, what's the name of ISUPK school? I thought it was Israelite. What is it? Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. This says Israeli. I thought your school was unchanging since 1969. We have unchanged. We have not changed anything since 1969. Okay, it's 1980. So he wrote this in 1980. 1980. Does he teach Gentile salvation in here? That's for me. Put it right there. All praises. So let's go into this. Our high priest Ariah's book, who is the founders, him, Masha, Yaquab, the founders of the ISUPK. First, we want to go to page 6, and you can see written by Masha, who they believe to be King David, high priest Ariah, and then Yaquab. Let's go to page 6 and see if they're teaching Gentile salvation, but y'all mad at us. So on page 6, it says, okay, look at the last paragraph. For this is the will of God, even your sanctification, that he should abstain from fornication, that every one of you should know how to possess his vessel in sanctification and honor, not in the lust of I hate saying that word, even as the Gentiles, okay, which know not God. We also find Paul speaking to the Israelites in Corinth or in Corinthians about Gentiles sacrifices in 1 Corinthians 10 and 20. But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils and not to God. And Romans, we mentioned this in the marks of a lost race. They're saying Romans 2 and 14 are natural Gentiles. So he's saying Paul warns us about the Gentiles in 1 Corinthians 10 and in Romans 2 and 4. When the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, these having not the law are a law unto themselves. So he's teaching that the natural Gentiles don't have the law. That's why they're evil and wicked. But he's saying in Romans 2 and 14, those Gentiles right there are natural Gentiles. Does ISUPK teach that today? Or is this another thing that they've changed? Huh? These comments in here are so crazy. We're literally reading this, and people in the comments are saying, no, they're not teaching. We're literally reading it, bro. Come on, man. Now, let's go to another page. First of all, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Boom. Let's go to page 8. Page 8. Watch this, y'all. He inserts an excerpt from the marks of a lost race. We find in Romans 10 and 9, Paul speaking to the natural Gentiles when he said, if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Christ and shalt believe in thine heart that God hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. We want you guys to be angry at them like you're angry at us. Be angry at Priest Zabak, and I don't want you guys to be angry at, let me not say that, but at least keep the same energy. Let me just say that. Keep the same energy for us as HOI and Priest Zabak, who told me a couple of days ago that Cornelius is more than likely an Edomite. And the rest of their congregation say he's for sure a natural Gentile. This man, Cornelius, received salvation and the Holy Spirit. Keep that same energy, but you know what? It's selective outrage. You're only mad at us because you call us the bullies of the community. You don't have to worry about that no more. I'm the nice guy, all right? But you see, now we're going to show you guys when the doctrine changed, when they changed Romans 10 and 9. ISUPK is changed and unchanged and altering, and it's malleable. It's not immutable. You understand? Now let's take a look at page 13. Oh, it gets worse. It gets worse, everybody. On page 13, look at this, y'all. On page 13, at the top, he says he has the same beliefs that Abba Bivens has. Then he would run to the Gentiles for help by getting into his political field to be saved, talking about us running to the Gentiles. But God said, no man shall save us out of this condition. Paul told the Gentiles about our blindness in Romans 11 and 25. Why is he saying that the people that Paul is writing to are Gentiles, and he's telling them Gentiles about how Israelites would be blinded? Let's stop playing the games. Look at page 15. Here goes one for you guys. Are you guys mad about this? It says, justice for all, not just us. Justice for all, not just us. Would you guys be mad if I said that today? Man, we want justice for all people, not just us. Would y'all be mad if I said that today? We want justice for all people, not just black people. All lives matter. That was the All Lives Matter slogan before All Lives Matter came out. Captain Tazaryach, you gotta put the All Lives Matter now on your on your banner, brother. This is All Lives Matter. This is the prototype All Lives Matter slogan. And look what verse they put, everybody. Read Isaiah 56. So to their slogan, justice for all, not just us, they said, read Isaiah 56 and 7. Now let's read Isaiah 56 and 7 and see what it says. In Isaiah 56 and 7, it says, and it's talking about the stranger, a non-Israelite. It says, these I will bring to my holy mountain and give them, and give them joy in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and sacrifices will be accepted on my altar, for my house will be called a house of prayer for all nations. What? Why would they post this? They're literally saying justice for everybody, not just us. All lives matter. And then they post Isaiah 56 and 7. You can't make this up. The ISUPK should be teaching this today. But they're mad because we're going back to the original school. Oh, man. You know, part of me, it's crazy because Israelites just want you to lie to them. Israelites want you to lie to them so that they can be okay, so that they can cope. And you tell them the truth, they will hate you. So that's why a lot of leaders be conflicted when they know truth. Trust me. I promised I wouldn't call names, but I promise you this, as God is my witness. A lot of these elders and leaders know the truth, but they know backlash is going to come with it. I've been talking to them after our presentation. Anyway, let's go to when the doctrine changed. All right, so we proved that they're teaching Gentile salvation. All right, now let's go to when the doctrine changed. When did it change to, no, these are not natural Gentiles and Israel, salvation is only for Israel? When did it change? Because in the 40s, it wasn't like that. In the 50s, it wasn't like that. In the 60s, it wasn't like that. In the 70s, it wasn't like that. In the 80s, it wasn't like that. So when did it change? Well, we have some proof, brothers and sisters. Here is Aria's. Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on real quick. Okay. Right. Okay. So let me go back. I missed something.
By the way, I'm gonna bring out a book that the Israelites use, all the camps, and show that God rejected Israel, all of Israel, and said that he's done with them, all of Israel, northern and southern kingdom, and that these new people that he's gonna rock with, he's like, F the Israelites, I'm rocking with these new people. These new people can't be Gentiles as far as changing up all Gentiles mean northern Israelite. No, it's all of Israel. And I'm going to show you why these guys are wicked. I'm talking about Genesis 2, because they read this book almost every day. So if it says it in the book, why aren't you following it? But I'm going to get to that after I play General Yahanna. I'm going to show you how wicked these people are who claim they believe in the Bible. They don't believe in no Bible, man. They only believe in what makes them sound good and feel good so they could be leaders of camps and collect money. That's how I look at all of them. No disrespect. Camps are modern day pyramid schemes. You heard Bernie Madoff ran a pyramid scheme. This is a different form of a pyramid scheme in a capitalistic society. That's what these camps are.
My bad. I have Hassad yelling at me. Let me go back to verse 13. Okay. So yeah. This is good. So in verse 13, they're actually teaching. So Hassad wants me to harp on this. On page 13, he is saying that Paul is writing to natural Gentiles, right? But it also says Israel will be blinded until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. So the elders expected a certain amount of Gentiles to come in to the faith. Is that what you wanted me to harp on, Hassad? Because Hassad is texting me, yelling at me. And read Romans 2 and 10. Okay, let's go here. Because they did say that was the natural Gentiles. So Hassad wants me to cook you guys. I think you guys get it by now, but I guess we'll go into overkill. Hassad wants me to cook you guys. All right. Romans 2 and 10, since they said the Gentiles in verse 14 are actual Gentiles. So, here we go. Romans 2 and 10. But glory, honor, and peace to every man that worketh good, to the Jew first, and also to the Gentile. So contextually, the same Gentile that they believe are natural Gentiles in verse 14 will be the same Gentiles here. Gentile salvation, y'all. Stop it. Just stop it. The reason why you hold camp and call on Yahweh is because of these men. And these men taught Gentile salvation. But when did it change, everybody? I'll tell you guys when it changed. 1995, right around the time General Yahanna came into power. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. It changed right around the time General Yahanna came into power. I-S-U-P-K-I-S. I-S-U-P-K-I-S-U-P-K. Karawan Khan I. Somebody said, why is there no sound? Turn your phone up, brother. Y'all can hear the sound of my voice. Put a big G in the chat for Gentile. I'm joking, man. I'm joking. Either way, though, the point is being proven. So let's just show where let's show where and when the doctrine changed. All right. And then again, so this Friday or maybe this Thursday, we'll go live again. We'll put a link in the chat like we did on the presentation, and y'all can come on here and we can have a conversation. You don't have to call names, insult, curse us out. You can just come on here and say, no, the verse you guys pointed out was wrong, and this is how you properly exegete it. You have to give a antithetical exegesis. That's what you have to do. You can't just say you guys are bugged out, you guys are wrong. You have to give the antithetical exegesis. That's how it works. Or argue, if we're not around, argue from a Rosarian perspective. Rob, what do I need to say sorry about? Salakia, I'm not reading the comments like that. I'll say sorry. Look at my brother monologue, right? We're going to get where the doctrine changed and when it changed and who changed it. But monologue says the chat more worried about not changing the traditional teachings more than having the correct teaching. I'm telling you, they will hold on to. But here's the thing, monologue. They're not even holding on to tradition. Tradition is saying that they were teaching. Tradition is proving they were teaching Gentile salvation. Okay, Rob, you're not a snake. I love you, brother, but don't just sit idly by and let people slander us. This is what elders be doing it. Other camp leaders doing it. Don't sit idly by. If it was me, I would either get off the stage or speak up and say something about it. Anyway, let's keep going. When did the doctrine change and who changed it? Change of worlds. Listen, look at, hey, no pun intended. The change of worlds too is when the doctrine changed. I'm gonna go right back here real quick. Watch this. Watch this, y'all. I'm gonna come right back. 1 second. Okay, here we go. Right here. All right, we're gonna pull that up, and then let me pull this back up, and then I'm gonna show y'all something. We're gonna show when the doctrine changed. You guys keep changing the doctrine. Are you gonna say that about your forefathers of One West? No, because you're only mad at us. Okay, now watch this, everybody. Let's go down to page, and I believe this book was written in 1995. You guys see it by Masha, Arya, and Yaikwab, founders of ISUPK. Now let's go to page 9. Let's go to page 9. And look what it reads, everybody. Look at this. Lo and behold, it changed. Lo and behold, the doctrine changed out of nowhere. It says, we find in Romans 10:9, Paul speaking to the Jews of Israel, saying that if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus Christ and shalt believe in thine heart that God has raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. Wait a second, Arya. You just quoted Abba Bivens in your prior book and said, we find in Romans 10:9, Paul speaking to the natural Gentiles when he said they could be saved. Abba Bivens says, we find in Romans 10:9, Paul speaking to the natural Gentiles when he said they could be saved. But in 1995, we see that they changed Romans 10:9 to Paul speaking to the Jews. Drop a bomb in the chat. Now, what was the motive? What was the motive? The motive is, I don't know. We've heard Elder Tahar say the Jesuits and Rosicrucians came in at a certain point. We heard certain other elders say the Jesuits and Rosicrucians came in and infiltrated the school at a certain point. Boy, the Christians going to take this and fry y'all up. It's best to just believe in the truth. That way you won't get confounded, contradicted, or look silly. It's best to just believe in what the Bible says. What was the motive for changing the doctrine? Was it money? Was it power? What was it? You see that, Hassad? Hassad, I didn't show you that. I got to keep something in the cut, brother. Just like we got 80 more slides and 80 more verses that are not in the PDF from Friday, just in case somebody try to test our Mackin. We clocked it, Hassad. We clocked it. 6-7. Somebody said he was a CIA implant. We don't know. We don't know. And it also proves that ISUPK isn't unchanged since 1969. Minister Mike, Let's Talk Bible says, I have to wonder, is Israel, if Israel really think we are happy to teach other nations can be saved? 6-7. I made up a new one. 6 o'clock it. Let that go viral. So what was the motive? We need to know. We need some other elders to come on here. If you elders are in the chat, maybe you can come on here and tell us When did it change and why it changed? I'm sorry, we know when it changed, but why it changed. This is in the book, brother. Karaf says, are you guys teaching Edomites can be saved? Well, our beloved brothers, priests Zabak and HOI, they believe that Cornelius was an Edomite, and Edomite, Cornelius got the Holy Spirit and salvation. So there's the answer to your question. We believe what they believe right there. Ha! So yeah, y'all, like, so this selective outrage again and creating rooms that there's respect to persons. You see that? But you guys should already know I'm way worse.
All right, so let me get General Yahanna in here and his response to what they said.
I walk into the restaurant. It's only one customer restaurant, as opposed to somebody looking all up your box in a goddamn beauty salon. There's absolutely, unequivocally no truth to that at all.
Right.
That's us. That's this kingdom so we can all get from under this man. Once they gone. Hell, I don't know where they are. The bikini wax, the bitch looking all up your box, talking about you like you ain't shit. Looking all up your box in a goddamn beauty salon. You ain't got no morals and no standards. You understand? And so, but nobody mad with them. And they charging you and they getting rich and they surviving so well.
Let him ask the question now.
Sir, on the topic of history, a brother was asking, there are claims that Abba Bivens taught Gentile salvation at one time, and brother wanted to know the story behind that, if there's any truth to that.
There's absolutely, unequivocally no truth to that at all. Be wise, young Padwans. If you want to destroy an organization, you must destroy your foundation. The foundation. That is why I am deeply hated. They have worked hard to get you to hate me. And the people that hate me, most of the time, never even met me.
Right.
And many times have never even had a conversation with me. But hate my guts like you ain't never seen before. That's called propaganda and brainwashing. Now, when it comes to the ancient men of the Lord, you have to be aware that there are people out there who will easily lie on them. This book that everybody's talking about, that supposedly is Abba Bivens' book. I've been in the truth almost 50 years. I stood next to Yaikwab every day and the rest of the hoods. I lived next to Chief. I would live next door to Chief Head Priest Yeshaya. And listen to me good. I have never heard of that garbage that they saying is Abba Bivens' book. I have never, ever heard of it. They saying he wrote it, he this, he that. I don't believe that. Okay? You're going to have to dig him up, clone it. You have to tell me, yeah, Yahanna, I did that. Because
this goes back to that cult video. The leadership says, remember, every cult has one leader and you have to have uniformity. So now he says that the book never existed. Now watch him contradict himself. Shout out to Brother Assad in the building, by the way. Peace and love to you, bro. Watch how he contradicts himself later on now. This is why I said to Captain on Clubhouse, I didn't like General Yahanna's response. Because now, if you're saying that the book never is not real, And he hasn't been in the truth for 50 years, because if he's been in the truth from 1985, that's not 50 years. That's one thing. The next thing is, you're going to say later on, well, if it is his book, no, it's either it's his book or not. Now, everybody in ISUPK, modern day ISUPK, have to fall in line. That means Captain Tazaryach has to regurgitate what his leader says. This is what a cult does. So listen to this right now. Let me pull it back a little bit.
But hate my guts like you ain't never seen before. That's called propaganda and brainwashing. Now, when it comes to the ancient men of the Lord, you have to be aware that there are people out there who will easily lie on them. This book that everybody's talking about, that supposedly is Abba Bibin's book. I've been in the truth almost 50 years. I stood next to Yaquab every day and the rest of the hoods. I lived next to Chief. I would live next door to Chief Head Priest Yeshaya. And listen to me good. I have never heard of that garbage that they saying is Abba Bibin's book. I have never, ever heard of it. They saying he wrote it, he this, he that. I don't believe that. Okay? You're going to have to dig him up, clone it.
All right, let me stop this for a second to make a quick point, all right? I'm going to show a video with Shikari, and I don't know if that's Hassad beside, this is the first time, well, this is back in, I don't remember when this was, but I just saw this video for the first time this morning. Well, check this out. I want y'all to check this out real quick.
Descriptions of the two videos that I referenced. Response video, or perhaps we could call it a review by Tahar, the leader of Great Millstone, on his Don't Take the Karagma account. And I'll share links in the video descriptions of the two videos that I reference here. But at one point, Tahar mentioned another book, which he said was written by Abba Bibins. Here, listen to this.
The only book that I know of that Abba Bivens wrote, what was it called? Change of Worlds. This book, they're saying that Marx of the Lost Race was written, I believe, in 1950, he said.
Okay, admittedly, that was a very brief clip, but it was nonetheless relevant because Tahar makes that passing reference to another book attributed to Abba Bibins, at least by himself, titled Change of Worlds. And he mentioned it again a few days later when Sakari was discussing the book Marks of a Lost Race. Tahar was in the live chat, again, using that same account, Don't Take the Karagma. And they read a few of his comments live on air, in which, he mentions this other book, Change of Worlds. So I'll just play the relevant clips, and I'll also put the comments from the live chat on the screen here. Listen to this.
But my point, go ahead, Slakia. You're right.
He wrote another book.
I heard you referencing that. What's the book, or did he say the name?
Change of Worlds.
A Change of Worlds. Do you think Yeshaya got that book? That's the question I got for Tahar. Do you think, Elder Apostle, or do you think Yeshaya probably has that book? I almost guarantee you, and I said earlier, I bet my bottom dollar Yeshaya got these books, right? But the point, did Elder Apostle say anything else?
He said he doesn't know if Yeshaya has it, and he does not have it either.
I'm just, if anybody knowing Yeshaya, he's probably hoarding a lot of stuff. But go ahead.
Well, as luck would have it, I'm happy to report that we found a copy of this book as well. However, the authorship is not explicitly attributed to Abba Bibins. Rather, the co-authors are listed as Masha, Arya, and Yaquab. And a copy is at one of the libraries associated with Michigan State University. And here is the relevant work. You'll notice that right on the front, it has the tribes chart. And you'll also notice that it has this interesting artwork below. Another thing worthy of note, it was written at a time when the school was called the Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge. I would again like to point out that it's Israeli school, not Israelite school, because this dates to a time when the school was less hostile to the word Israeli. You know, people have come, a number of Israelites have come to take on the idea that the word Israeli is, you know, refers to something inauthentic. However, it is a biblical Hebrew term. But whatever the case, I just thought it was worthy of note that it was called the Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge at the time this book came out. And while an explicit date is not on this book either, just like an explicit date was not on Marks of a Lost World, it seems to me that the book is likely written in the early 80s. And when you open the book to the inside cover, which I guess might be considered the first page, the authorship is attributed to Masha, Arya, and Yaiquab. As I went through this book, I did not find any reference to Bibbins, and so therefore it's interesting that Tahar remembers it as being written by Bibbins, and his memory is justified because at least half, well, let's say maybe 40% of this book uses material from Marks of a Lost Race. For example, here's a comparison of the opening pages of each book. On the left, you have Change of World. And by the way, forgive me, but I just wanted to point out that the title is Change of World with world in the singular, not Change of Worlds. I know that's a minor point, but I just want to be clear about that. And then on the right, you have Bibbins' Marks of a Lost Race. As you compare the two texts, the two opening pages, you'll see the text is basically identical, save for the fact that the authorship being attributed to Masha, Arya, and Yaiquab is put on the page. Aside from that, as you go through the material from Bibbins' book, and there's about 14 pages worth, maybe arguably 18 pages worth, it's only slightly changed. A word is changed here, a word is changed there, and I'll show a few examples. And then also occasionally they'll add notes referencing additional verses, which Bibbins didn't reference. So, in a sense, it could be said that Change of World is a later redaction of Marks of a Lost Race. Now, I want to be careful to note as a disclaimer that I don't mean that in any sort of nefarious sense. Some of the changes that were made may have been made by Bibbins himself before he passed, and then changes continue to be made, and then we get this redaction in the 80s. And by the way, we can date it to the 80s because it references a number of newspaper articles from the late 70s, from 1976, 1979, etc. Here's an example of some of the small changes that are made to Bibbins' text. This paragraph is from page 6 of Bibbins' book, Marks of a Lost Race, and now compare it to the same paragraph, which begins at the end of page 2 and continues on to the top of page 3 of Change of World. Now you'll notice the two paragraphs are identical, save for towards the very end, where Bibbins' book simply refers to quote unquote Negroes, while Change of World refers to quote Negroes, Puerto Ricans, and Indians, end quote. Now, again, the reason I wanted to offer that disclaimer that I'm not saying that these changes were made in some sort of a nefarious way, because Bibbins himself had the tribes chart apparently before he passed. So this particular change to the text may have occurred, he himself may have been revising his work over time. And so this may be an example of a revision that he introduced, or if it was introduced to the text after he passed, it nonetheless reflected his own beliefs at some point towards the end of his life. Another change that happens is in the various places where Bibbins' book refers to Jesus as Joshua, Change of World instead refers to him as either the Son or the Son of God, or simply as Christ. For example, consider this paragraph, which begins when Joshua, which was called Christ, came preaching. Change of World reads when God's Son, called Christ, came preaching. Now, worthy of note, I didn't see any part of the book in which Jesus is referred to as Yahushai. However, that does not mean that One West had not yet adopted that name, as made of Bibbins' breakdown of Deuteronomy 28. The quoted material, the portions taken from Marks of a Lost Race, don't finish the breakdown of Deuteronomy 28, nor does it contain any of the subsequent material. The portions which use portions from Marks of a Lost Race, a lot of it is just a discussion on history, references. It's somewhat interesting because
All right, let's get back to General Yahanna, and then I'm gonna go to I got something to say about second Ezra just real quickly. But anyway, let's carry on.
You have to tell me, yeah, Yahanna, I did that. Because why?
So we have confirmation from one person outside who was there early with General Yahanna, Tahar, who is a veteran who started GMS. So he's not, and Tahar was out there talking about 2,000-year prophecy. He goes back. His reputation should be damaged more than anybody else, but it seems like GMS, if they don't have the most members, they're way up there. I tell you that. Probably IUIC has the most members. Hey, by the way, too, let me say this. See that my brother brought up Farrakhan. I gotta say this. Whenever Farrakhan had a men's meeting last week, Monday, right? So they had like a live broadcast. Joel from SOT hit me up, say, yo, I went there. The minister's 92 years old, whatever. I wanted to go, but I live in Connecticut now. So to go all the way to Queen for a men's meeting, I wasn't about to do that. So now, if you notice, when Farrakhan speaks, millions of people will watch. But when the mosque has their Monday night meetings, ain't half of those people showing up. Not even 75% of them showing up. When General Yahanna speaks, look at the viewership of the videos that he's on. Look across the line, look at Captain Tazaryach TV. 4,200 people watched it. You're saying that, remember, he's the leader of men. When you're watching IUIC and Nathaniel is live, you're seeing 7,500 people in the chat. 7,500 people, and you know at least 25% of that is membership. Other than that is people outside trying to get in, or people who left the movement who still love Nate. You got to see who. It's when people talk about numbers. When Farrakhan talk, Farrakhan could bring 2 million people to Washington, D.C. Which Hebrew Israelite group could have done that? None of them. Not one. So when we talk about numbers and people, General Yahanna is the most disciplined in my eyes. I see the most disciplined. ISUPK. But as far as numbers, IUIC seems to be up top. GMS seems to be up top. Sakari seems to be up top. I don't know what Sakari's numbers now. But I have to say this too, because remember, I was a part of a cult. And when they find me and Rob have been doing our little secret research, and if you look at the channel, you see that we have refuted and debunked the NOI teachings with the people who we brought on that talked about the history of the NOI. So we are releasing the cult out of our system by bringing the truth to the people. So don't think I'm attacking Israelites, trying to bring Israelites down. I've been a part of a cult. I know what it is to say, hey, the Yaqub was created was this mad scientist, bigoted mad scientist, and that black people got 50,000 years ago because we didn't listen to the Most High. Our noses got bigger and our lips got thicker as a curse in the jungles of Africa. You don't think Garfield used to believe that? Hell yeah. When NOI said Malcolm was a traitor, I had to go along and say Malcolm was a traitor because I'm following my leadership and I'm in uniformity. So whatever the leader says, I have to follow what the leader says. So when General Yahanna says that book, I don't know if that book is real, Captain Tazaryach can't go around and say that the book is real. He's going against his leader and teacher. There's no uniformity of beliefs. So that's what a cult does. It doesn't allow you to think freely. The difference with Genesis is a cult too. Don't get me wrong. But they're not as cultish as the other groups, if I may say that. They're all cults. They all stem from one West. But I'm gonna tell y'all this right now, man. The reason why Garfield's not a part of NOI is because of Khalid and Farrakhan. I had to make a choice. Just to let y'all in on a little something. I stood post. I was willing to give my life for Farrakhan. I was willing to give my life for Khalid Abdul Muhammad. I named my first son after Khalid and Malcolm X. Khalid Malik. That's my son's name. El Haj Malik Shabazz. So, yo, when you're a part of a cult, bruh, it's a hell of a... So I know what these brothers are going through. I know what they're going through mentally. But anyway, yeah, it's not something simple. It's not something simple, yo. It's not something you walk away from. If I hear Farrakhan is in town, I still try and go see the dude. I'm not a part of the group. I'm not a part of the cult anymore, but I still got love for the man. Period. But anyway, let's get back to General Yahanna. Let's go back a little bit. Let's get it in.
Called propaganda and brainwashing. Now, when it comes to the ancient men of the Lord, you have to be aware that there are people out there who will easily lie on them. This book that everybody's talking about, that supposedly is Abba Bibin's book. I've been in the truth almost 50 years. I stood next to Yaquab every day and the rest of the hoods. I lived next to Chief. I would live next door to Chief Head Priest Yeshaya. And listen to me good. I have never heard of that garbage that they saying is Abba Bibin's book. I have never, ever heard of it.
Look at Katazar.
They saying he wrote it.
Look at Katazar
shaking
his head when he said that. I have never, oh man, so there wasn't a book because my leader and teacher, the man that's next to Christ, said it. So it has to be true. And the brother said, Golfer used to believe Elijah Muhammad is on a spaceship? Yes. I used to believe that they said that your body, you have to be a certain weight to fly the spaceship. I used to believe when Independence Day come out that the spaceships was real and the government was trying to tell us a message. So when Independence Day came out with Will Smith, I was all excited. My brother's like, why are you so excited? Because I'm like, the truth is coming out. So it sounds, so when I hear the Israelites talk, I'm like, they sound just like me when I was a part of the NOI cult. So I'm not shocked. So this is why I have to study them and see what they believe and see where they're coming from, because the NOI is where they really stem from as far as a structure. NOI has been the most successful movement outside the Black Christian church for Black people. Talking about Elijah Muhammad. But anyway, look at Katazar shaking his head.
Called propaganda and brainwashing. Now, when it comes to the ancient men of the Lord, you have to be aware that there are people out there who will easily lie on them. This book that everybody's talking about, that supposedly is Abba Bibin's book. I've been in the truth almost 50 years. I stood next to Yaquab every day and the rest of the hoods. I lived next to Chief. I would live next door to Chief Head Priest Yeshaya. And listen to me good. I have never heard of that garbage that they saying is Abba Bibin's book. I have never, ever heard of it. They saying he wrote it, he this, he that. I don't believe that. Okay? You're going to have to dig him up, clone him. You have to tell me, yeah, Yahanna, I did that. Because why would I have never heard of it? Why wouldn't I have? Now, I was not there when he was there, because they had moved around the corner to set up One West already after his death. So I was not there, in all fairness. But brother, I absorbed the truth from a baby, from a young age, every ounce of it from every side. And that book was never mentioned to me at all. I don't even know where that garbage came from. Okay? I don't know who wrote it, where it came from, none of that. Whether he wrote it or not, I don't know. But I know this much. I was in the Israelite School of UPK in its foundations. And the Israelite School of UPK never taught that white people could be saved, that Gentiles could be saved.
That's right.
I heard some people mention that as well. I'm telling you, I'm not telling you from theological or theoretical or from examining in 2 or 3 lines.
No hypothesis or nothing, sir. No hypothesis.
I was sitting in the fucking room. Excuse me.
Right.
That's why I told you when brothers come to me and say they want to tell me something that they think something about Yaquab, I just look at them like, nigga, I was there. Like,
I was there.
Like you don't have to. You ain't got to wonder.
Right.
I was sitting right there. You know what I'm saying? And so when it comes to that book, and let me tell you something else. Anybody who's going to pull that book up to try and dissuade the knowledge of the truth is really just somebody looking to attack the UPK. Like, why would you care about a 50-year-old book that may have said something concerning Gentiles? Give me a break. When you know the stance of the UPK, yeah, I can go pull up ancient tapes.
That's right.
Of the brothers, and you ain't never heard a tape where no brother got up there and said, "You white people, you got a chance to be saved." You ain't never heard that shit. And all the tapes, cats got tapes all over the country. You ain't never heard nobody pull no clip like that shit up. So that's just somebody who's trying to piece together something that is probably older than them being alive. Like if Bibbins wrote that book, it was before whoever these niggas are talking about it, it was before they was alive.
Right.
But they got to reach back there.
Now he changed his tune though. Now he
find
changed his
something
tune.
or try to find something.
Now he changed his tune. All of a sudden now, if he wrote it, it was before they were alive. So how would you determine that if there's no book? Now, if somebody must have slipped him a note. If shout out to Captain Tazaryach working out every day in the morning and trying to look fit, man. Because I tell you, man, if it's for Cap, man, there'd have been a bunch of beer belly Negroes running around here saying they're Israelites and they got the truth. You ain't got no truth if you got a beer belly, man, and teaching black people, man. Come on, man.
They see, we dug it up. They loved white people in the beginning. And it would be a complete and utter filthy, disgusting lie. We have never changed. We have always been the same, even if they changed and all that. Because I heard, like I said, mentioned earlier, I heard one cat saying, I got the ancient book of Yaquab before they changed the doctrine, and he loved the Gentiles. Nigga, I stood with Yaquab in Harlem on 125th Street in front of McDonald's in 1985. And guess what? Yaquab was saying the white man is the devil. The Bible.
Right. That's right. Clap it up.
I don't know what you talking about or what they talking about. So yeah, brother, don't say that, none of that. That's just more attempts at distraction. We trying to build brotherhood.
You know what's funny? I played this earlier, but when he said that they got the truth and everything, and they were staunch teachers and preachers of the 2,000-year prophet.
That's going to be hit in this thermonuclear war is America.
They was
America's
out there
going to be wiped off the face of the planet Earth. That's going to take place before the year 2000.
That's right.
That's going to take place before the year 2000.
That's right.
That's going to take place before the year 2000.
That's right.
America has less than 628 days. America has less than 628 days. America has less than 628 days before this country is taken out in thermonuclear destruction.
This kingdom, America, is going to be destroyed before the year 2000.
Evil kingdom that God spoke of in the Bible. And all you so-called white people, your condemnation, you are condemned to what? Hell. And you're going to be in hell, you're going to be oppressed before the year 2000. Christ is going to come back.
Museum America is going to be destroyed before the year 2000 by thermonuclear destruction.
That's that cult life. Before we get out of here, I do want to point out something about a book called Second Esdras. I want to Google something real quick. Yesterday, a brother named Jake, Second Esdras. We're going to look for the Encyclopedia Britannica article. That's what we're looking for. Where is the Encyclopedia Britannica? Britannica. I think I could spell a little something, something. All righty. I'm going to make this big on the screen so everybody could see it and read at home. Now, this is something I would debate Genesis on. Should we use the book of Second Esdras? Because without the book of Second Esdras, you don't have Arzareth. You can't make the claim about Arzareth is America. I say it's a book that is a pseudepigrapha, because the person who is writing it is living far away from the person who wrote it over 400 or 500 years. All right, don't worry about it. All right. Let's take a look at this for a second. Are we going to have a conversation? And anybody want to click the link and have this conversation? Let's have this conversation, because without this book, there's no doctrine. They don't have a doctrine. They could use Luke 21:24 and misuse it. They could use Deuteronomy 28:68. And by the way, too, I'm going to do a whole show on Second Esdras. I'm going to do a show on Deuteronomy 28, the whole book. The whole book. I'm going to show how the writing style the person is using. I have 8 examples of how they're using word for word out of the Esarhaddon-Vassal Treaty is in the biblical text. Now, Deuteronomy 28:68 has puzzled a lot of scholars. I have identified in Babylonian and Assyrian sources using the term that says no man shall buy you, or you won't be bought, or whatever. I have identified that in over 8 different sources. I've also identified people being taken on ships who are Judeans in Assyrian sources, 3 different Assyrian sources. So they were taken on ships back to Egypt. Herodotus documents of the Syria-Palestinians, which is the Israelites, because he's talking about that location, but he called it Syria-Palestinian, of how they learned circumcision from the Ethiopians and the Egyptians. And also how they were taken from that area and transported on ships. So I could get into it all the way. You see, when you know the history, they can't debate you as the Bible says. So when they say the Bible says, I just pull out prophecy. I just bring up the prophecy and show the false prophecy. Then you can't bring that up as a source because it's not genuine then. But let's deal with Second Esdras right here real quickly for the audience before I get out of here. Shout out to Jake from Clubhouse. I've been saying this for over 2 years on Clubhouse. I've been saying this for over 4 years on YouTube. The second book of Esdras is apocryphal work printed in the Vulgate and many later Roman Catholic Bibles as an appendix to the what? New Testament. That should have tell you something from the jump. And by the way, to what the Encyclopedia Britannica is saying is what the consensus of scholarship is. There is absolutely, I have not found, and I'll say this right now, I don't like to talk in absolutes, because all you got to do is show one example and you debunk everybody. All right. The second book of Esdras is written in 3 different time periods, 3 different languages, and by 3 different people. That is where I'm at. There is no scholarship that says Ezra in the Bible wrote it. Let me say that for everybody that's watching. You won't find a source, a modern day scholastic source in the last 50 years that says Ezra was written by somebody in the 5th century BC. That's a problem. And the reason why that's a problem is because if Ezra didn't write it, somebody's now pretending to be Ezra. So now it's a pseudepigraphia. You can't use that book. But it might have some important things in it that you might have to read. This is why some people suggest that you read it. But let's be honest. All right, everybody be quiet and silent and just pay attention and take notes right now. We ain't got time to go back and forth with no crazy dude in no chat who just want to believe and say black people need to believe this and we don't want the good for black people. If that's the case, go join the Nation of Islam. They're doing better works than the Israelites, more works than the Israelites. But look at what it says. It says it's in the book as an appendix to the New Testament. Why would it be an appendix to the New Testament if it's an Old Testament book? The central portion of the work, chapters 3 to 14, consisting of 7 visions revealed to the seer Salathiel / Ezra, was written in Aramaic by an unknown Jew around AD 100. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you might not be aware because you're reading the King James Version. The Christians removed Salathiel's name because it says it was written by Salathiel, also known as Ezra, in the original manuscript, in the oldest manuscripts, not the original, the oldest, because the oldest manuscript would have to be in Aramaic or Hebrew. It went from Hebrew to Greek to Latin. It's written in late biblical Hebrew, which don't exist before the Hellenistic time period. So that alone tells you the type of Hebrew is being written. It's a late biblical Hebrew, is after Alexander the Great died. Let me make that clear. So it couldn't have been written by Ezra. By an unknown Jew around AD 100. Around, they're giving an estimate. We don't know exactly when it's written. Some people said 90 AD. Some people say up to 100 AD. It's somewhere around that area. Now, in the mid-2nd century, if you notice, they're talking about chapters 3 to 14, right? Because in the mid-2nd century, they're claiming a Christian author added an introductory portion where? In chapters 1 and 2. So chapters 1 and 2 never existed before chapters 3 and 14. They're writing it as an introductory portion to a Palestinian Jewish writing. Chapters 1 and 2 to the Greek edition of the book, and a century later, a Christian writer appended chapters 15 and 16. Remember when I said 3 different writers, 3 different languages, 3 different time periods? All right. It seems like I'm agreeing with what the consensus says. Look at this, family. Chapters 1 and 2 was written originally in Latin. Chapters 15 and 16 was written originally in Koine Greek. Koine Greek can't exist before Alexander the Great. Latin was used as a written text before Alexander the Great. That's a Roman writing. So 3 and 14, and we already say it's late biblical Hebrew. So they're dating it. It has to be within the Hellenistic time period or Roman time period. Can't go before that. So Ezra could not have written it. All right. Now look at this now. The Greek edition was edited by a Christian author because there are passages in the central Jewish section that reflect Christian doctrines on original sin and Christology. Very important. That is extremely important. Now watch this. Second Esdras is concerned primarily with the future age that will succeed the present world order. The occasion for its composition was the fall of Jerusalem to the Romans in AD 70, which had a drastic effect on the nationalistic aspiration of the Jews and on their view of Judaism. Now, what they do now, and I will pull this down for a second. As a matter of fact, I'm going to keep this up so everybody could look at it. I'll keep this up. What they did was, family, all right, cool. You don't want non-believers. Fine, that's fine. But you love my channel, though. But anyway, let me get into this. The reason why I say we should throw it in the garbage is because of this. Chapters, they call first 2 chapters 5th Ezra, 3 to 14, 4 Ezra, and chapters 15 and 16, 6 Ezra. But what happened is the chapters 1 and 2 contradict chapters 3 to 14, and chapters 15 and 16 contradict 3 to 14. So this is why there's a problem. Look at this right here. These are the claims from chapters 1 and 2, and I'm paraphrasing. God brought Israel out of Egypt, did miracles, gave them prophets, but they constantly rejected him. This is chapter 1, verses 5 to 8, verses 11, chapter 1, 11 to 15. because of this disobedience, God says to Israel family, and remember, he's talking to the northern and southern kingdom because he's referring to Egypt when they come out of Egypt, which both kingdoms came out of Egypt. So he's talking to all Israel in 2nd Ezra chapter 1 and 2. He says, because of this disobedience, I will no longer care for you. I reject you. He's rejecting Israelites, northern and southern kingdom. Chapters 1, verses 27 to 30. God then says he will give their house, the Israelite house, and promises that he made to another people who were not his people before. This is important, and I want Brother Hassad to do a teaching, a class on this so I could respond to him. Remember, God then says he will give their house, which is the original Israelites, northern and southern kingdom, and promises to another people who were not his people before. Chapter 1, verses 35 to 37, chapters 2, 10, chapters 2, 34 to 35. In chapter 2, he speaks tenderly not to Israel, but to a new people, promising them Zion, a crown and glory. Chapter 2, verses 10 to 14, 34 to 38, 42 to 47. In other words, the first two chapters of Ezra says, I choose Israel. They disobeyed. I fully rejected them. I give everything to a new people. You know who the new people are, family? The Christians, the church. That's classic, what they call replacement theology out of Ezra's mouth. Now, what does Exodus, Kings, and Chronicles say? Exodus says, God brings Israel out of Egypt. They rebel in the wilderness, but God refuses to utterly destroy them because of his covenant with who? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Even after the golden calf, he disciplines them, but does not revoke his covenant. What does 1st and 2nd Kings says? Israel and Judah is sinning, leading Assyrian and Babylonian exiles, but God preserves a remnant and keeps the Davidic promise alive. Example, 2 Kings 25. He leaves a Judean governor, prophetic books promise restoration. Look at what the book of Chronicles says. It retells the monarchy, emphasizing sin, exile, and restoration. The book ends with Cyrus' decree allowing the Jews to return and rebuild the temple, 2 Chronicles 36, 22 to 23. So the Old Testament line, if you read Kings, Chronicles, and the book of Exodus, Israel sins, they get judged, they get exiled, but they're still God's people with promised restoration. Now, if you look at 2nd Ezra chapters 1 and 2 and compare it to the Old Testament, or even chapters 3 to 14, the hypocrisy here, family, is that chapters 3 to 14 contradicts what chapters 1 and 2 say. So you can't have a book that contradicts itself right after 1 and 2, because they're called the God spittle in chapter 6 in 2nd Ezra between chapters 3 and 14. So again, the Old Testament says one thing, 2nd Ezra says, God says, I'm done. I've rejected you. I've given your place to another people. Another people cannot be northern Israelites or southern Israelites, because he's giving examples in 2nd Ezra 1 of when they were coming out of Egypt, and both tribes, both kingdoms were coming out of Egypt. Israel is replaced by a new people versus Israel still the covenant people. 2nd Ezra 1, 2, God says he will give their house to a people that shall come who have not yet heard his name. The Israelites in the southern kingdom heard God's name, and the ones who are scattered, who would be in the world, heard God's name, but they may have not heard Christ's teachings. So he's not talking to them. I'm going to say that again. 2nd Ezra 1 verses 35. God says he will give their house to a people that shall come who have not yet heard his name. Not true. Israelites always knew God's name. They just may have not known all the teachings of the gospel during the first century. 2nd Ezra 2, 10 to 14. He calls a new people his beloved, giving them the blessings of Zion. These new people are Gentiles. So they're arguing about Gentile salvation in 2nd Ezra, the book that they uphold to. they're going to have to throw this book out because this book is teaching Gentile salvation. Second Ezra 2:42-47. A vast multitude in white is crowned by the Son of God. Clearly, Christian imagery applied to his new people. Ezra, again, I replace Israel with a new nation. New nation can't be northern Israelites. I send prophets, you kill them. I've done everything, and now I'm done with you. This is God talking through Ezra. All right. So now, when we go to Second Ezra between chapters 3 and 14, look at what God calls the Gentiles. He calls them his spittle. Totally contradicting what he's saying in chapters 1 and 2. So me saying it's 3 different writers, 3 different time periods, 3 different languages. Why are you using a book that contradicts itself? It's because it talks about Tazaryach. That's the only reason why these people like this book. Because these people are about, and they connect Tazaryach with America to put themselves in the Bible. Hold on a second. Let me get to one more thing and then I'm done. What time is it? 1:04. I should be done already. I'm not going to go into what he says. He calls them in Second Ezra in 3-14. Gentiles don't get the salvation like that. Hold on one second. I could get into the 400 years and all that stuff, but I'll get into it. If somebody want to take on that challenge, I'll take it on. But I'll just leave it right there. Chris, you want to say something before I get out of here?
Yeah, I was going to say you were kind of all over the place, but the scholars believe that those are different compilations of whatever different translation of different texts. Like, for example, you went over 1 through 2, but 3 through 14 is all written in Hebrew. And so the verses in question where you're challenging the second Ezra's narrative about the Northern Kingdom being in America is contained in 3 through 14. You see what I'm saying?
I just said Tazaryach is America is based on 3-14. Second Ezra 1-2 is teaching something.
So that's the verse that's the only verse that we're using to make that connection. Not the whole book of Ezra.
Hold on, Chris.
Man, you just went for.
Did Ezra write the book?
Well, we just said it's a compilation of. I just said it's a compilation of different languages. So that some comes from the Latin, some comes from the Hebrew. There's some Aramaic. So it's a compilation of different surviving texts. And so if you're going off the narrative about what God's saying, you're not my people, that's back in the Old Testament. That's not near the time of Christ. It's not congruent with coming after or being written after Christ. It's congruent with being written before the time of Christ. But that compilation might have came from different manuscripts with different languages.
Chris, what do the scholars say chapters 1 and 2 was written? What do they say? Since you said the scholars say it's compilation of different writings.
Well, I had to look it up. I don't know it off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure
I just read it right here. I just put it on the screen.
Why are you asking? Why don't you just tell me then instead of
because you're saying that the scholars, it had to be written before. I'm saying it's written around 150 AD. So that is after Jesus, brother.
Yes, that it was compiled of that surviving manuscript as we know it, but it was different. It was compiled. That's what the scholars believe. It was compiled from different manuscripts. Wait a minute, they don't take the position that it's fake. they just say that it was compiled from different manuscripts with different languages.
Who said that? Who said that?
That's what the consensus of scholar is. There's no scholars that come out and say it was all it's fake or anything. They just say that it was compiled from different manuscripts.
What was compiled
at that time period?
Explain to me. What was compiled?
Second Ezra's. It was compiled from different manuscripts as we know it today.
All right, so it's compiled. So chapters 1 and 2 was compiled from what?
You'd have to look it up. I don't know it off the top of my head. I don't want to see how that's really relevant. But what you're trying to challenge is, and you said this debunked Deuteronomy 28.
I never said it debunked Deuteronomy 28. You got to listen first before you talk. Hold on 1 second. Let me just say this. We can't listen to the show and not listen to the show. We got to listen. And I notice this with every Hebrew Israelite that come on my panel. You guys never repeat what I say properly. You always misconstrue. It's just like the chart with the British.
But what does it exactly debunk, though?
Let me finish talking and then I'll bring you back up. If you look, I said something about the Hebrew Israelites chart, right? And you put in the chat. I'm gonna give a quick example of what you do, Chris. And I'll bring you back up 1 second. This is what you do. You don't listen and you don't have any knowledge at all. You think you know what you know. You read and feel like I have all the information. No, you don't. I actually got this from Reggie. I got to bring this out too. I got this from Reggie. This chart here, right? Let me show the people in the audience. So I did not agree with you while you were in the chat gloating. Oh, you see, you agree with me. No, I don't. I never agree with you. There's nothing to agree with you on. This is the 12 tribe chart. Hold on there. Let me bring it down 1 second. And let me bring this up to 100%. All right, there you go. So that's the 12 tribe chart, ladies and gentlemen, that ISUPK uses. Okay? Now look at this right here. This chart is by David Yadir. This is a recent chart. This is after One West chart. But we have charts before that, like this one. This is before the One West 1969 chart. And then there's one from this book, the Little Book Key from 1920s. They had a 12 tribe chart. So you see, I'm saying that this guy is a recent guy. David Yairi is a recent guy that made up the chart to show a continuation of British Israelism. But British Israelism is before, like this one is before it, and this one is before 1969. Plus the Mormons had their own little thing going on too. So I did not agree with you. This chart is after, yes. But this British Israelism chart, this one and this one is before 1969. Actually from the 1920s. All right? So stop lying on me. You are lying. The next thing about Second Esdras that I need to say to everybody. The issue is, yes, their chart goes to Europe and the One West charts goes to where black people are. It's different, yes, but the idea of a chart comes from them. That is the point. Now, it was written after Christ. Get over it. Shout out. What's up, bro? How you doing? And Israelite brothers and me can disagree, but the fact is, Second Esdras chapters 1 and 2 was written after chapters 3 and 14. What the Christians are doing, and you can't see it because you're so blind, the Christians are trying to get themselves into the kingdom by teaching a Christology about salvation for Gentiles. So they write that God rejected you and say, hey, for a new people, talking about themselves. So that's how they know Christians are writing it. They're writing themselves into the tradition, but still holding on to chapters 3 to 14. This is why they changed to my Messiah to Jesus in chapter 7, verses 28. Jesus is not in no book in the first in no book in the Old Testament. You don't find the word Jesus. In chapters 1 and 2, you see Jesus' name, and in chapter 7, you see Jesus' name. Where did that come from? The Christians want to input themselves into Second Esdras because it was popular amongst the Jews. So they changed the writing. I can't argue with people that don't listen, yo. I can't argue. How does Second Esdras? I'm saying the whole book is considered one book, but the book contradicts itself. And if a book is contradicting itself, it is of no use to the reader. In one hand, all of Israel is gone. Then by the time you reach chapter 3, it's another writer, Salathiel. They change the name Salathiel and put Ezra. The Christians are doing this evil. This is what I'm trying to say, bro. So you can't use a book because you like what it says. You have to look at the overall book and what they're trying to do. Why are Christians pushing this book when in the book it says Gentiles can't be saved? It says it in between chapters 3 and 14. It does say it. It does say it. But it's two different writers. Salathiel wrote chapters 3 to 14. Some guy under his name and some guy under Ezra name. It's two pseudonymous writers. It's a pseudepigraphia in all three levels. One writer wrote chapter 1 and 2. One writer wrote 3 to 14. Another writer wrote 15 to 16. Chapters 15 to 16 contradict chapters 3 to 14. Chapters 1 and 2 contradict chapters 3 to 14. So something is wrong with the book. You either throw it all away or you use all of it, and you can't use all of it. The floor is yours, my brother. I'm gonna shut up.
First, I want to say you had a note on that people had 2 minutes, and not 2 seconds in, I get cut off. You know what I'm saying? And then you mute me, and then you go on another tangent for 5-10 minutes before, and you go on, and you're not even talking about the subject. You're talking about charts. You're talking about the British Israelism chart. We're talking about Second Ezra's. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand how, like, so, and then you're saying that's not related to Deuteronomy 28, but isn't there people on the chart that came over on Deuteronomy 28? So I don't know what you're talking about. As far as the subject of it contradicting itself, when you say those people are cast away, they're now Gentiles. That's what we're saying. And then when the time of Christ comes, that, you know what I'm saying, that's supposed to be their salvation. So the book is not congruent, even though it might have been released around that time in that form. The message is not congruent with being written, the narrative being written after Christ, is all I'm saying. It's because here's a scripture from Romans 11. It says, "But what saith the answer of God unto him? I have reserved myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal." So when you talked about the remnant, a lot of this stuff that Paul is saying is coming directly out of the Old Testament. He's not really creating any new doctrine. He's just making utterances from the Old Testament. So, and there's a lot of symbolic language in there. So this Gentile could potentially be, a lot of times, the people that were cast away that you're talking about. So that's what we're talking about. The Gentile salvation is the people being brought back into the fold.
2 minutes is up. And just for the record, Chris, you did not talk about anything. Hold on, the Captain Tazaryach just sent me a video. Hold on, let me play. I gotta play this. My cap gave me an order. I gotta play this video real quick. He said diabolical.
But I do appreciate the call. But listen, don't forget, look up listen, that graph.
Hold on, let me just play this real quick. This is Captain Tazaryach. That's my big bro. He said play this if you're still live. I'm gonna play it. No, that's the wrong video. Hold on there. Hold on there. As a matter of fact, hold on a second, family. Let me take this down. Let me take that down. Let me hear what my captain's saying.
Appreciate the call, but listen, don't forget, look up listen, that grafted in, go look up Genesis. Yeah. for me. Say it one more time. Say it one.
Yo, Cap, you doing?
Nah, say it for me one more time, please. Please, just say it one more time. Just please.
Yo, Cap, I'm gonna do it for you, just for you. But God forgive me. Genesis. Oh, man. Yo, Cap, at the least, we leave it. We leave here with a little fun. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely,
remember,
man. I appreciate it.
Yo, Cap is crazy, yo. Cap is crazy. Yeah, as far as Chris and what you're saying, you're not even addressing what we're talking about. And we're talking about Second Esdras, why nobody should use it. It's a book that's that the scholarship says was written in 90 AD, chapters 3 and 14. Chapters 1 and 2 is written 150 AD. Chapters 15 and 16 is written, around 250 BC. 3 different time periods, 3 different languages. Two parts of it is written by Christians to draft themselves into this whole Israelite or be God's people. So they made up the first part by saying God rejected Israel and kicked them out, and he's done with them forever. He's pretty much, that's what he's saying. Why would an Israelite want to read a book that says that? That don't make no sense. That makes absolutely no sense. Then you're talking about Deuteronomy 28. I said I'll talk about it I'll do a whole show on Deuteronomy 28 because I could show the roots of where the wording comes from in the Esarhaddon Treaty. And I could also show where it says, no man shall buy you, where that possibly comes from. We could show that in history, in archaeology, and we have the records. We have the primary sources. And these sources date before there's a biblical text for you to have in your hand. As far as Second Esdras, if you use Second Esdras, you're teaching a false doctrine because, for one, the book is saying Ezra wrote it. Ezra didn't write the book. That's a lie. They're pretending to be Ezra. That's another lie. That's a pseudepigraphia. There's no pseudepigraphia in the canon. You can't show me in the Masoretic text, the Samaritan text, the Dead Sea Scrolls, even the Greek Septuagint. You cannot show me the Bible being authorized by Israelites. Israelites don't read that book. There's no Ebionite reading it. There's no Nazarene reading it. They're not into that book. Why is that? Church fathers read some of it or might quote it or might say something that happens to be in the book, but nobody takes the book serious. Only British Israelites and Black Hebrew Israelites take that book serious. But anyway, man, I'm way over my time. 20 minutes. 20 minutes. If you don't know the Bible, don't teach from the Bible. If you teach from Second Esdras, you don't know the Bible. Esdras wasn't even alive during the Assyrians' exile. That's not the point. He was alive. As a matter of fact, we don't even know if Ezra is a real person. This is just a storyline that we believe in. If you look up Ezra right now, I said, is Ezra real? They don't have no evidence. He's just a guy in a story that they just pop him up and say, hey, we're going to say Ezra is the guy and Nehemiah. Come on. We don't even know if this guy is a real guy. Again, it's your belief. We shouldn't come out in public and argue belief like it's facts. That's the problem with you Bible believers. Anyway, family, I'm out of here. Peace and love. Love y'all.